watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Business Access.
Business Access TV.
Serious.
Serious.
Serious about business.
It was a meeting of two cities when the Montego Bay Convention Center hosted cocktails in Kingston at the Spanish Court Hotel, Worthington. Business Access TV was there to share in the moment.
First and foremost, on behalf of the team, I want to say a heartfelt thank you for being here. You could have been at other places, you could have been at other events, you could have been at other functions, but you found the convention center team very well to join us. So thank you again. All right? And so to go into this, again, just welcome, a heartfelt welcome. The Montego Bay Convention Center team is here. We have gone around, we have spoken to a lot of persons, but tonight it's very special for us because so many familiar faces, so many partners, so many clients, returning clients, possible clients, and the list goes on. So again, you will not hear me enough to say thank you, because that's a word that from the convention center, it's a part of us, and we really take pride in showing appreciation. This evening is truly special for us, for it has been a long time coming. Kingston has been a long time coming. And, Montego Bay Convention Center, of course, we opened our doors in 2011 and to the events and meeting industry. And, but connecting with our friends and our partners in Kingston has always been on the top of our mind. Over the years, we have received substantial support from our clients in Kingston. Therefore, this event had to be in our cards. And of course, we have a large deck, but you're on top of that deck. And we know good things happen in Kingston. So like many other parishioners, we packed up everything and we headed into Kingston on the town bus yesterday. Some of the team came in, when was it? Monday. And they say, Aaron, the traffic. And I said, it can't be worse than Montego Bay. And we found ourselves here sitting in this room 5:30 because we've said there's not one partner that is standing in front of us now that is going to be here and not see a team member from the convention center representing. So again, team, thank you. Hopefully, any guest tonight, and this is not meant to mean anything, but any guest tonight that have never experienced the convention center, unfortunately, you're in the minority. But what we want you to do when you're in Montego Bay, please come and visit. Sit with us, have lunch. Let's tour you. Let's show you the technology. Let's show you what some of our partners in this room have done with us. We have transformed the convention center. And of course, there are many events. And one of the things that we had looked at is how we put all the assets, the available assets, through our vendors, through our partners, together to really make the convention center what it is. The purpose of the convention center was never a self-sustained entity. It's to really contribute to economic development. And what we're measured on is not only profitability, but our economic impact. And we've seen it, especially in Montego Bay. But one of the initiatives that we had is to bring Kingston a little bit to Montego Bay as well through our friends and partners that are here tonight. So the Montego Bay Convention Center represents opportunities, one for us to think differently and see possibilities for now and the future. The center firmly places Jamaica as a viable destination for meetings, conferences, exhibitions, and of course, a selection of certain sporting activity that relates to sport tourism. So while the honor is mine to welcome you, I always want to thank you for taking the time out in engaging with us. Think differently. That is what I want to drive in your thought process when it comes to the Montego Bay Convention Center. Let us work with the possibility. Let us make the possibilities become a reality. The sales and events team, they're here tonight. And I really want to identify the team members. I know when it comes to this part, they tend to just come together. And when I start to call the names, they're going to raise their hands and they're going to say who they are. And of course, we all know them. So leading the sales and events team is, of course, our director of sales and events, Miss Mavoy Smith. Of course, there's Mavoy. We do have the sales managers with us tonight. You do have Donald Thompson. Where's Donald? Donald? There he is. There he is. Thank you, Donald. And of course, you have Alexia. Thank you, Alexia. And there's one lady here that she's a blend of food and beverage and sales. We call her catering sales. That's Trishani. So food is always important. So Trishani, thank you again. Trishani Austin. Our senior events manager, Kyan Henton. Many of you know Kyan. Many of you have been exposed to Kyan. Spearheading the senior events. Thank you, Kyan. So again, we have one lady that keeps us together. She's Michelle Gordon. Michelle is really our executive assistant and of course sales administrator. Sometimes we're based on a property, based on an events, we're pulled left, right, and center. If it's not for Michelle Gordon, we term her MG, the acronym MG, we would be all over the place. So MG's responsibility is to keep us together, keep us focused, and also keep us well fed. Thank you. ASEAN, many of you heard from ASEAN, know ASEAN PR, marketing, sponsorship. What else? And he takes the beautiful pictures. So with your permission tonight, ladies and gentlemen, ASEAN will, of course, on social media. I'm still catching up with technology. Social media, Facebook, Instagram, InstaChat. I got that right? Just joking. Just joking. So again, that's a team that is here tonight. And they're out, and they're here, well represented. So, of course, Dr. Guntley, my second mother. Wave your hands for me, please. Thank you. John Woolcock, he heads up the events department for Jamaica Tourist Board. And of course, the Convention Center. We're now a part of the Ministry of Tourism. We're an agency under the Ministry of Tourism. John, very vital to our organization, very vital in terms of the partnership and to allow Jamaica to be recognized again, not only as leisure, but as meetings and conventions. Because really, the large groups that the Convention Center will and the future possibilities to bring into Jamaica, of course, will create that economic impact that we're pushing for Jamaica to recognize. Not only about profitability, but looking at economic impact, whether it be indirect or direct, to see how that trickles down for the entire geographic location to benefit. So again, that's a mandate and purpose of the Convention Center in partnership with our main sister agency, the Jamaica Tourist Board. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you again, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
We are back with another exciting, innovative, and inspiring season.
It takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness, being consistent and persistent in whatever you're doing. That's the bottom line.
Business exists to add value to people's lives. And if we're not doing that, might as well we lock down the store and just call it a day.
It's a season 3 of Creating Wealth, Mondays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
They say it takes a village to raise a child, but the world will one day need the leadership of that child. The time you spend with your child matters. It stimulates their minds and shapes the way they act. Talk with your children. Help them to better understand the world around them and to value what is truly precious. Above all, the most valuable gift you can give them is love. Play, talk, teach, love. Take the time. It makes all the difference. A message from the Parenting Helpline and Ad Council Jamaica.
We're here at
the Spanish Court Hotel, Worthington, for the Cocktails in Kingston, why is it important for the Montego Bay Convention Center to have this event tonight?
It's very important to us because a few things that we have highlighted and wanted to bring forefront is that we recognize and appreciate our partners in Kingston, our clients in Kingston, our potential clients in Kingston. Of course, we do have these events just to mingle, just to share our thoughts process, not in terms of business, but just to get everyone inside a room. And of course, we just talk in a informal or formal environment, and we just get together. So that's really the purpose of our vendors, our partners, our agencies, from the ministries to our suppliers. We just get everyone in and show our appreciation.
You mentioned the Jamaica Tourist Board as one of your major partners. How has that relationship been?
It is excellent, and it is a relationship that has been in the making since our inception. The Tourist Board is very important to us. Jamaica Tourist Board, of course, is what we consider as our DMO, or Destination Marketing Organization, that assists the convention center in not only marketing the facility to any other destination that would willing to come offshore, especially the international destinations, but what they do as well is to market Jamaica and assist us in not only marketing as Sun and Sierra Leisure, but to ensure that Jamaica is seen as a meetings and events destination that can host large group in a first world facility.
And speaking of that first world facility, tell us a little bit about the Montego Bay Convention Center and what people can expect from the venue.
Montego Bay Convention Center, managed by SMG, a North American-based company that manages 85% of the public facilities in the world. Of course, First World, now we have a mandate to ensure that that First World facility is represented here in Jamaica. And of course, Montego Bay Convention Center opened its door in 2011 to the events industry. And what we really do is to host events. I mean, regardless from your weddings to your largest expos, to your exhibition, to your conventions, to your sporting events, to your church events. So we're an all-inclusive package. We're a flexible facility. And what we do is to host any and every event. So that's basically what we do. And what to expect is our people. We have a set of well-trained staff, and events is our core business. And what we did in the initial stage is to ensure that our team members, they're fully aware of all aspects of event management, certified and also recognized internationally. So what you will expect from the Montego Bay Convention Center is the highest level of technology, the best aesthetics, theme, and the best management you can think of bringing your event from a thought process to reality. So that's what we're all about.
And finally, now that you're here in Kingston for this event, what kind of connections are you hoping to make at Cocktails in Kingston tonight?
Yes, we do have quite a few corporate partners in Kingston, but what we want to do is to bring Kingston to Montego Bay. Get Kingston to come to Montego Bay, see what the convention center is all about. So for potential clients that we do have, it's just to mingle, to invite them, just to, a short presentation, show what we're about, and then of course to invite those potential clients down, and of course get them to know the convention center, come in, explore the property, do inspection, see the technology, see the staff, meet the people, meet the strength behind the asset, and then of course we go from there. So in a sense, it's really to have Kingston in Montego Bay, and of course to expand our business, which that's the whole intention.
The Montego Bay Convention Center opened its doors about 8 years ago. What have we seen from the convention center over the years?
Well, the convention center since 2011 to now 2019, we've done a little bit over 700 events. We've done a lot of weddings, we've done graduations, we've done car shows, we've done meetings, conventions. We're home to most of the major churches in Jamaica where they do their annual conventions with us. So we're home to the Jamaica Baptist, the United Open Bible, the Jehovah's Witnesses, you name it, we're home to them.
And as was mentioned, the Jamaica Tourist Board is a major partner with the Montego Bay Convention Center. How has that experience or how has that relationship been over the years?
Very positive. Having the convention center in Montego Bay means that we have the ability to go after larger groups that will support the hotels in the area. And without the convention center, this was a void. So of course having a state-of-the-art facility in Montego Bay opens up a lot of opportunities for us. And we're seeing where MICE planners are really taking a very close look at the destination, whereas in the past they might have said, you know what, this group is a little bit too large for Jamaica or for Montego Bay. Now it's on the table. Now Jamaica is even more viable.
And can you comment on the impact it has had on the tourism industry over the years?
The Montego Bay Convention Center, as Karen Benjamin, our interim general manager, mentioned earlier, that our core function is basically to support the community. So our aim is to bring in, as John just mentioned, the larger groups to Jamaica, so it will impact the hotels. So we basically get heads in beds. You'll have the coconut man on the roadside being able to sell more jelly coconuts, the cane man, the nightlife, so the Margaritaville's, the Pier 1s, you name it, so it's like a domino effect. So all partners involved will be able to get a piece of the pie.
And it's only been here since 2011, so can you comment on what impacts has been made to tourism before and now?
Well, again, as Mavoy just mentioned, it's all positive in the sense that we're getting more business, increased business, more visitor arrivals coming in. Conventions that would not have considered Jamaica, now they're looking at the destination, they're actually booking the destination. So again, it's very positive. We have become even more competitive in the marketplace.
How do you see the center being utilized in new ways to pull more visitors?
We are trying to focus more heavily on the sporting events. So as it is now, we host the NCAA, that's a basketball competition, every November, and this competition is aired live on CBS. So not only Jamaicans get an opportunity to see what can happen at the convention center, but persons internationally will be able to see what we're doing, and they may think to say, okay, so I can bring a sporting event to Jamaica. So it's not just meetings and conventions, we're pretty much multifunctional, which is why in our different spaces at the convention center, there's nothing fixed. So whatever the event is, we can accommodate it. If it's a car show, we can do it. If it's basketball, we can do it. If it's taekwondo, we can do it. So you name it, we can do it.
And anything new from the tourist board that you can mention?
The Jamaica Tourist Board is always looking at new opportunities. We have a very strong team in the market, so we are pursuing a lot of new ventures. So it's going to be great for Jamaica moving forward. We're seeing it in our visitor arrivals. It continues to grow. And again, it's going from strength to strength. But we have a gem in MBCC, no question about it. And all of our partners, from the hotels, the DMCs, the attractions, it's all very good.
Your company has hosted several events at the Montego Bay Convention Center. Talk to us about the experience working with them.
It's an amazing experience working with the team there. One of the wonderful things about the convention center and the team is that level of engagement. They take on your project as if it's their own, and they're really involved from start to finish. And it's something that you really appreciate as a project manager and an event manager, because you want to be assured that all of the details of your event are taken care of. Usually you're planning an event from Kingston at the Montego Bay Convention Center, so having that level of oversight, that level of attention to detail is really very important to us. So it's something that we really appreciate. After a while they become your friends. It's really an amazing team there. So I'd recommend anyone to go to the convention center. And it's not just about the team, it's about the facilities, it's about the facilitation, it's about the accommodation of each and every request. So I can't say enough good things about them there. Mm-hmm.
And how important would you say a venue like this is for Jamaica?
Oh, absolutely, very important. I mean, Jamaica, as the general manager just said, Jamaica is more than just sea and sand. And it's very important that you have a facility that can accommodate local, nationally scaled, as well as regional and international events right here on our shores. It's an opportunity for various industries to be showcased, for us to stage events that have multi-tiered opportunities for varied groups. So for the hotel sector, the broader tourism sector, for other persons here in Jamaica, it really makes sense for you to have a facility like this in Jamaica. And I can only wish that they go from strength to strength in terms of the range of services that they offer that will ensure that we entice as many people here as possible to utilize the services and the facilities that are here.
Hi, I'm Peter Shakir from Event and Entertainment Services. We're an event management and planning company, and we do many events across the island and abroad as well. We also own Jamaica Bridal Expo, and this is my partner, Joanne Paxton, and she'll talk to you a little bit about hosting Jamaica Bridal Expo at the Montego Bay Convention Center.
We've hosted the Jamaica Bridal Expo at the Montego Bay Convention Center for the past 6 years, and Jamaica Bridal Expo is at home at the convention center. Everything is positive about the venue, the grand ballroom, what you have the expo in, the conference room where we hold a conference on the first day of activities for the expo, and the staff at the Montego Bay Convention Center is absolutely amazing.
Thank you for tuning into our coverage of Cocktails in Kingston, hosted by the Montego Bay Convention Center. You're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
It's season 12, and Wealth Magazine Business Access is here to keep you business savvy. With an impressive mix of some of Jamaica's most inspiring business moguls, we continue to keep Jamaica informed, empowered, and ready to dominate. Tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. only on BATV.
You're watching
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
You're watching Business Access TV.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
You are watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Serious about business.
Wealth Magazine is back at it again with Corporate Mingle. Today we're here at the Reggae Mill Bar, where executives, creatives, entrepreneurs are here to mix and mingle. I'm your host, Amita Pasadre. Please stay tuned for highlights.
Thank you to the team from Wealth, and thank you for you being here. We're here to introduce you to the newest way to deal with Western Union. This is the way of the future. This is how you will be handling your Western Union business going forward. It's called westernunion.com.
Grace Kennedy Money Services is in partnership with CME today here at Corporate Mingle. Talk to me about that.
So, Grace Kennedy Money Services is the home of Western Union, Bill Express, FX Trader. Today we're here with CME because we have an exciting new product to push, and this is the ideal target audience or corporates. Because you know what? Corporate people, they're always on the go, they're always moving, they don't have time sometimes to just get to a Western Union location to do their business. So we have a platform where they can stay wherever they are as long as they have an internet connection and they can send a money transfer. That's why we're here, we're pushing that. So woo.com is the name of the website, and it allows you to send a money transfer to anywhere in Jamaica or to 200 countries across the world. Wherever a Western Union location is, you can send a money transfer. You need to send some money, you need to send it fast. Register, go on woo.com, send it. All you have, the only money you spent is that money that you're trying to send. That's it. No credit card fees, no processing fees, no transfer fees, nothing. Zero. And you have to be registered. It's a registered service. Part of registration that you have to do, you start online. but you have to satisfy our own Jamaican regulations, Bank of Jamaica regulations. You have to go into a location with your ID that you registered with to validate, and that's it. All we need to do is to be able to see your ID, see you, and know that you are who this ID is. That's it. Once you've been validated, you never have to go back into a location to receive money ever again.
It's Corporate Mingle Networking with a Purpose. We're here today at the Reggae Mill Bar. Talk to us about what's happening.
All right, so this is our fourth staging of the Corporate Mingle, and this is the first time actually coming to this location. We have a mixed crowd because we have Bumblebee as a sponsor. We have Grace Kennedy, Western Union, Business Access TV, and of course, Adam and Eve Dayspa. So we have a very mixed crowd. We have mature, younger persons here. It's always a new venue, so we can try something new so persons don't get used to the same venue. And it's always here again. It's always a new place, preferably somewhere hip, as you see Reggae Mill is where all the festivities happening now for the young people. We have different networking games. We have our wonderful host, as usual, Amisa. So we try to keep it interactive, get persons involved, talking to each other, mingling, networking. Of course, drinks flowing, so people flowing, conversations flowing.
So talk to us a little bit in regards to what exactly it is that Bumblebee does.
So Bumblebee is a digital media agency, so we look at what we can consider traditional digital media, which is the Facebook and the Instagram and the Twitter and Google, of course, but we are also into programmatic, and definitely the leading product that we offer is Wi-Fi advertising, which is new to Jamaica. So we are partners with Gross Tech, and they are committed to making Wi-Fi like oxygen. So we are committed to helping brands build brand loyalty by helping to make Wi-Fi like oxygen, by partnering and sponsoring that Wi-Fi. So we're the leaders in that regard. We have amazing click-through rates, which is above every other digital platform that is currently here. So we are seeing click-through rates of between 10 and 30% and lead generations of over 30%, which is not heard of in the region. So this is really something big that brands can and should get into.
I've been here for a very long time. We've been building our product for the past 3 years, and I've been coming here, building networks, building my social network. So this is not my first time I've been here.
Tell me about your business, Intranet Solutions.
Intranet Solutions, we offer social Wi-Fi to businesses. So instead of persons signing in with a passcode, they use their social media handles. So they use Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, whichever handle is there at the time. Once persons sign in, companies get their demographic information because they would have approved and allowed for you to get that information. So it's a way to build on your marketing list and a way to improve your business overall.
Talk to me about O'Shane Bryant Fitness.
All right, so O'Shane Bryant Fitness, we don't have a fixed location. We're predominantly at UWI Mona campus, but of course we're a fitness entity that's geared towards giving Jamaica the most affordable health and fitness lifestyle. It's a lifestyle, and not a fad thing.
Well, it's my second time coming to a mingle. I'm really enjoying it. Perfect place to mingle, to get your business out there and learn about your peers and what's going on.
It's that time where we bid you farewell. Thank you for tuning in to Business Access TV and our coverage of Corporate Mingle here at the Reggae Mill Bar. I've been your host, Amita Prasad-Webb, and you're watching Business Access TV, serious about business. Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Hi there. On the pages today, we delve inside the workings of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security for this fiscal year. We'll also share insights on foods, food labelling and calories. Yes, you're tuned in to Jamaica's #1 magazine program. Sit back and relax and keep watching today's show for these and more to come right after this message.
Don't let the heat beat you down. Extremely hot days can affect your health, causing heat stress and heat stroke. Protect yourself. Seek sheltering from the sun and limit outdoor activities to mornings and evenings. Wear light-colored, loose-fitting, breathable fabrics. Hydrate with cool water and avoid sweetened drinks and beverages that contain alcohol. Don't let the heat beat you down.
The Ministry of Labour and Social Security is in modernization mode, improving the use of technology and upgrading its infrastructures to improve service delivery. It's about promoting decent work and the protection and empowerment of the poor and vulnerable. Find out more in this next feature.
The Ministry is focused on safeguarding dignity in work and will demonstrate true respect for all through technology and innovation for customer service excellence, public education and people development, and infrastructure and accessibility.
As it taps into technology to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of service delivery, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security will continue to digitize records across all its divisions.
Valuable real estate is taken up with the storage of paper records, and to date we have scanned over 500,000 records. Accessibility to documents is now made easier and the processing of benefits more timely.
In that same vein, persons will be able to apply for all NIS benefits online by year-end.
We have just completed an upgrade of our network to fiber optic. This may seem a simple matter, but a lot of the technological improvements could not be done on the old network. With this upgrade, the Ministry is in the process of procuring a voice-over internet protocol. The VoIP will enable us to improve our internal and external communications and reduce our phone bill by up to 50% or over $26 million.
The Ministry will also be working towards establishing a call center where all customer calls to its offices will be routed for prompt response. The recently launched Labour Market Information System app and enhanced website now provide job seekers and employers with a more robust experience when job hunting or posting vacancies. The Ministry is also rolling out an app for the 2020 season of the Overseas Farm Work Programme to improve communication with beneficiaries.
This app will allow our Canadian farm workers to access information related to their medical dates, visa appointments, and flight information. They will not have to wait on the Ministry's call, but will be able to access information on their smartphones and other electronic devices.
The number of public access points to its electronic labour exchange ELE are also being increased. Kiosks are being installed in parish offices to use the service. Public education activities are being intensified in the months ahead as the ministry embarks on a 25 community engagement series. Work continues to secure the integrity of the job-seeking process through the efforts of the ministry's Employment Agency Unit.
The unit continues to issue the mandatory license to private employment agency operators to conduct. We also continue to conduct inspections to ensure compliance with the Employment Agencies Regulation Act.
Public education also continues utilizing print and electronic media to protect job seekers from scamming. A digital marketing campaign is to be launched by the end of the calendar year, and the ministry is ramping up sessions to reach more than 1,400 job seekers with special focus on PATH beneficiaries and unattached youth. In June 2019, PATH benefits saw an average increase of 17%. In addition, over $500 million will be spent providing back-to-school grants, which will be paid electronically. Families on PATH will also get support through the Steps to Work program for entrepreneurial activities.
For this financial year, Steps to Work will target 800 PATH households to benefit from upskilling initiatives and another 600 for on-the-job training. Additionally, under this program, a further 1,100 PATH clients will receive financial support to establish micro businesses.
A further 500 PATH families will be targeted, particularly parents of children aged 2 to 6 years, in sessions on nutrition, child discipline, budgeting, and parenting.
The implementation process to facilitate the Disabilities Act is in full gear. It is our intention to have the first 2 codes of practice and regulations completed by the end of the year. However, as a precursor, we must create the most stable and affirming environment in which to operationalize the Act.
A governance and organizational structure is being finalized to modernize and improve efficiency at the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, the JCPD. Meanwhile, a $17 million pool of grant funding is being set up to help with small business ventures or to acquire assistive devices that will enhance people's independence.
So for persons to access the benefit, they must register with the JCPD. Registration and grant application forms are available through our parish offices or the head office of the JCPD.
An updated actuarial review of the National Insurance Scheme NIS is set to take place during this financial year to ensure the viability of the National Insurance Fund, the NIF.
The NIF's primary focus is to maximize returns within acceptable risks, while maintaining a level of liquidity to enable timely payment of NIS benefits.
While it works to improve service delivery to Jamaicans, the Labour and Social Security Ministry is also upgrading the spaces from which those services are dispatched. The work includes a new office in St. Anne, as well as renovation to the Overseas Employment Centre in Kingston, NIS office at 18 Ripon Road, and the Ministry's Labour Division on North Street. An arm of the Industrial Disputes Tribunal is also being established in St. James.
We are in the process of procuring 3 buses that will be used as mobile offices to aid in the delivery of and greater access to the services of the ministry. The services include the registration of NIS beneficiaries, PATH, senior citizens, and persons with disabilities.
These are just some of the ministry's strategic priorities going forward, in line with the government's goal for inclusive and sustainable economic growth and job creation.
Did you know? The consequence of not exercising, consuming excessive sugars, trans fat, sodium and alcohol, and smoking is that sooner or later you will become seriously ill? These are known causes of non-communicable diseases, known to damage critical organs in the body, rendering them dysfunctional, leading to premature death. Avoid the unhealthy habits, treat your body right, eat well, exercise, and live longer, more productive lives.
Knowing the calorie value of foods and being able to manage your calorie intake based on your daily requirement can help you on the road to proper health and wellness. This next feature should take you a step closer to being in the know. Let's start the journey.
Your body needs energy, and we call this our daily requirements of calories. And for Jamaican men, it's about 2,100. For Jamaican women, it's about 1,900 calories per day. The calorie is just a unit of energy to say how much energy you need to get around your daily activities and so on. If you're more active and you're not in a desk job, then you're going to burn more calories. If you go to work, when you get up in the morning, you sit in a car and you go to work, you sit at a desk all day, and then lunchtime come, you order and they deliver the food to you, and then you eat that and you go back and sit again, and then you sit in a bus or a car and you go home. So you're sitting all day, you're not doing much, versus somebody who's on the road and they're walking around or they're standing all day like the teachers and nurses and so on. Then you'll realize the difference in how much energy you will need. And so if you are more active, you should be eating a little bit more. But the problem is that everybody is eating as if they're working in sugarcane fields, chopping cane all day. And this is the problem. So we consume more calories than we are burning off. And every day if we keep on consuming calories, you need 3,500 calories to make 1 pound of fat. One soda, if you look on the serving size for these things, these juices and so on, you'll think that, oh, it's just 110 calories. But how many servings come in that container? About 3 or 2.5. So you can easily drink 300 calories like that. And if you do that 5 times for the day, that's 1,500 calories. You almost don't need to eat anything else for the rest of the day. So the excess calories come in the body, and then the body begins to store them as fat. And then you put on more weight and more weight. You have to watch the pastries and the breads and all of these things that people, even when they're vegetarian, they still have a lot of these little snacks and so on. These things are full of calories. You know that one of the cream crackers is about 450 calories. Water crackers is about 500. Yeah, nobody don't want to hear. I never want to believe it either. But this is what you get, the packs that you get, and a lot of people eat them with butter, right? So can you imagine how many calories you're putting in your body with one little snack? And you don't talk about the tea yet, with the milk, the condensed milk and the sugar that you have to have that with. All of these things, they add up without you even knowing.
The ingredients label will go from the most to the least in a product. So if the product is making a claim, look at where that claim is. If it is 1, 2, or 3, because if it falls less than that, you're really not getting value for your money, right, in terms of content. The nutrition facts. One of the first things you're going to look at is the servings per container, and this says 2.5, which means it's 2.5 servings in the container. You are not supposed to drink it, you must share it, right? And then you're going to look at your calories. It says 90 calories, but it's 90 calories per serving, and it's 2.5 servings. So it's 2.5 times 90, which comes out to about 225. And then you come down and you look at your sugar, and it's 22 grams of sugar, but it's per serving. So the entire container is 2.5 times 22, which works out to about 55, 56 if my maths is right. And there's 4 grams equal 1 teaspoon, so you end up with about roughly 14 teaspoons of sugar. And that is, you use this template for all the products that have nutritional facts on them. This is 14 teaspoons of sugar, and the American Heart Association recommends that for an adult male, you're supposed to consume 9 teaspoons of added sugar per day. For an adult female, it is 6 teaspoons of added sugar per day. And for a child, it's less than 6 teaspoons per day. And a child here, we're talking about from 2 to 18 years old. Don't look at a container and judge it by the size alone. It's very important to read the label so you know exactly. And look at it, 220 calories. For parents, we're asking them, to be very mindful of how much sugar they're giving their kids, right? Because it impacts upon their health in the not in the long term?
We try to provide information to parents and guardians, teachers, anyone about the alternatives to these sugary drinks, because really you don't need them in your diet. You can get enough sugar that you need from the foods that you eat, the carbohydrates which are converted to sugars in your body which give you energy. So some of the alternatives are of course water. It's the best one, but there's also fresh fruit juices. So blending your own juices without adding sugar, and you'll have the natural sugars and fiber from the fruits. There's coconut water. It should be, you should actually drink this in moderation because it does have quite a high sugar content, but it is a good alternative. For the children, freezing the juices into popsicles or ice cubes so that it's more interesting for them to drink, as well as doing infused water. So infused water is it's a process where you cut up your favorite fruit or vegetable or even mint leaves or aloe. You place it in water overnight so that the vitamins, the minerals, all the goodness from the fruits and vegetables are infused into the water, and you can have that. It's not sugar sweetened, and it gives you the vitamins and minerals that you need throughout the day. And then for children, there's unsweetened milk. So not flavored milks like the chocolate milks, but unsweetened milk doesn't have a high sugar content, and it also will give the children the calcium that they need for their growing bodies as well.
Stop smoking around me! Without cigarettes, the world will be much better. Smoking is bad for your health, and when grown-ups smoke around us, we are breathing in their smoke too.
Cigarette smoking is bad for your health and the health of those around you. Don't smoke around children. A message from the Pan American Health Organization.
Eating healthy by having a balanced diet consisting of items from all the food groups and consuming the right portions is important to get the nutrients vital for disease prevention, growth, and good health. Essential nutrients are building blocks for the cells that make up the body, from bone to muscle, skin, and hair. One of the most critical ones is protein, which is made up of different amino acids, some of which the body can make on its own. We need a variety of proteins to function properly, many of which can only come from the foods we eat. Meats, fish, and eggs are essential sources from animals, while plant sources include beans, nuts, and some grains. How much protein you need daily depends on a variety of factors, including how active you are and your age. Carbohydrates are the main nutrients for fueling the body's energy needs, especially our central nervous system and brain. They help protect against diseases, but some carbohydrates are healthier than others. Some healthy sources include your fresh produce, such as yam, banana, breadfruit, and tubers, as well as whole grains, fiber-rich vegetables, and fruits. Less healthy sources include refined grains and products with added sugar. Fats often get a bad rap, but it's important to know that healthy fats are essential to our body's function. Fats aid in vitamin and mineral absorption, blood clotting, building cells, and muscle movement. Fats are high in calories, which is a measure of energy from foods, but the World Health Organization recommends keeping daily calorie intake from fat at under 30%. Including healthy fats, which are the unsaturated fats in your diet, can help balance blood sugar, decrease the risk of heart disease and type 2 diabetes, and improve brain function. Healthy fats are also powerful anti-inflammatories and can lower the risk for arthritis, cancer, and Alzheimer's disease. Some of the well-known unsaturated fats are the omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. Sources of these healthy fats include fish, seeds, nuts, and vegetable oils, olive, avocado, and flax seeds. Trans fats are to be avoided, and we should also limit our intake of saturated fats, of which the main sources are animal-based and include butter, cheese, red meat, and ice cream. Vitamins are organic compounds essential for normal growth and are required in small quantities. There are 13 essential vitamins that the body needs, and these help lower the risk of diseases such as lung and prostate cancer. Vitamin A supports healthy vision, skin, and bones. Powerful antioxidants like vitamin C boost the immune system and helps the body heal. Eating a varied and well-balanced diet of fruits and vegetables should supply the body with the required vitamins. Minerals are also important nutrients needed for building strong bones and teeth. They help with regulating our body's metabolism and keeping us properly hydrated. The mineral calcium strengthens bones and teeth and helps with nerve signal transmission. It also helps to maintain healthy blood pressure and with muscle contraction and relaxation. Iron supports red blood cells and hormone creation, while the mineral zinc boosts the immune system and wound healing. The body also needs water, which improves brain function and mood, and acts as a shock absorber and lubricant in the body. Water also flushes our toxins, carries nutrients to cells, hydrates the body, and prevents constipation. Even mild dehydration can make us feel tired and impair concentration and physical performance. In addition to drinking water, we can hydrate ourselves by eating fruits and vegetables such as spinach and watermelon. Start treating your body right. As you grab your next meal, make sure you're getting all the nutrients needed in their right proportion.
We shift gears now as the leftover good vibes from the independence celebrations have us in a dancing mood. And it got me thinking. Jamaican dance forms have evolved over the years to create a rich and vibrant heritage that transcends generations and remains the pride and joy of our people. Let's dance.
Similar to the country's motto, out of many one people, Jamaica's indigenous dance movement is a rich mix of African, European, Spanish, and several other ethnic influences. A shoulder movement from the British, hip roll from the Africans, and so on. All gyrations and synchronized rhythmic stepping, locals have merged to birth new dance styles.
Indigenous means that it was created here. It's native to the space. I call some things indigenous formalized. They're indigenous, and all these indigenous things, like, for example, gere, they say it's a creolized form. Now, when you say creolized form, that means some of it was shaped here, so then it becomes indigenous. So there are quite a few others.
Brookings reveals a unique mixture of African and European influences. The Brookings Party is a stately, dipping, gliding dance typified by the thrust and recovery action of the hip and leg.
So, for example, Brookings, you cannot go back to Africa and find Brookings. Remember, Brookings was a celebration for the abolition of slavery in this country called Jamaica. And there's a long story behind that.
So that position happens in Brookings. All right, get up. But she not do it all the way. When them do it, it's all down on the ground and the back and back.
This band of masqueraders scare a few, especially children. Some persons are definitely not in favor of one of the characters, the devil. John Kunu goes as far back as slavery, but at that time, the bands were very large and elaborate. The musicians would play tunes of well-known traditional songs on the fife, accompanied by bass and rattling drums, shakas and graters. Their primary dance movement is to prance, behaving wildly as they try to evoke fun or mockery.
Ska are the original sound. Ska are the foundation sound. Ska music is a great, great sound. Jamaica's first international.
What you see down across is arms that come out of John Kunu, come out of our ancient forms as well. And so you see those arms in Ska. Those same arms. What it come from? It have to come anywhere from sky. It come from our ancestral memories, our heritage, and it bleed beautifully into modern day times, into what we call popular dance.
Dancehall in the 1960s, a popular dance then was the ska. Oh yes, skanking was the movement partygoers would do to the rhythm of the similar name, ska punk or hardcore punk.
Jamaica's first international.
When people say they dance in Bingi, also indigenous. Any movement that you see people do in Rastafari, because Rastafari, and it's not only dance.
That's right. Rastafarianism is a religion and it has its own dance.
Although African Kumina has been here for so long, it is a tradition in the space. Kumina was not created here. It is Kikongo. In the language they speak, free Africans and enslaved Africans, the more they came, brought that tradition, that religious tradition, to the space. But over time, because that is from 18-something, you know, it becomes traditional to the space because it's constantly here. Dancehall is indigenous. Everything in dancehall is indigenous. And so everybody should be saying, anybody who dances dancehall should mention Jamaica. Because Jamaica is who created that cultural space that has in it dance. Dancehall goes right back to Africa. And if you go online now and you look at Africans doing dancehall, there's a slightly different flavor to it. But there's a use of bottom, there's a use of, the use is similar. So some things, you know, are what Kamau Brathwaite, the writer from Barbados, says tide electric. In that the tides of the ocean bring it come, and sometimes the tides of the ocean carry it back. So if you look at dancehall, you know, the ocean bring all of this African, and then sometimes you see it carry back, and dancehall is in Africa now as African dancehall. In dance, it's a forward movement when we decide to be Caribbean-centric. So now we're not necessarily Afrocentric or Eurocentric. We have now created a space of our voice. We are Caribbean-centric in the movements that we create. From the time of ska that you mentioned, all the way up now to dancehall.
On our roads, remember, take time, be courteous, drive good, walk good. Don't drink alcohol and drive. Don't drive tired or sleepy. Don't tailgate and don't overtake unless it is safe to do so. And always drive at a speed which will allow you time to stop quickly and safely. Let's keep it safe on our roads.
We've come to the close of Jamaica Magazine for today. We hope you found our program enlightening and ask that you join us again tomorrow for more. Until then, continue to watch these and other programs by logging on to our website, jis.gov.jm, or subscribing to our YouTube channel. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
Business current affairs you can relate to. Frank, credible discussion. On Point with Kalila Reynolds and Dennis Chung. Dissecting the issues, offering solutions to Jamaica's challenges. On Point, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
This week on Chill Spot, it's all about getting fit and staying in shape with Patrice McHugh, CEO of Bars to Go and Jamaica's first master mixologist. She'll be taking us to Spartan Health Club for a workout, and then later on it will be on to a fabulous evening of exquisite food and drink. Stay tuned. Hey Patrice.
Hey Mama, what's
Hi.
up?
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, so first and foremost, what are we going to be doing today?
We're going to be doing a leg circuit today. So we're going to be doing some squats, deadlifts, yes, leg press, leg curls, leg extension.
All right, so we're here at Spartan. Why is health and wellness so important to you?
Because I'm a fat girl on the inside. I am.
Good answer.
I am. And it's, you know, fitness becomes a way of me keeping that fat girl calm and also being healthy at the same time.
What about Spartan in particular? What is it about this gym why you come here?
That's simple. It's the #1 gym in the island. And in addition to that, it has the best weight room, cardio room, the trainers are the best, and the service is above par.
Wow, sounds like I need to start coming here.
You definitely need to.
And would you say it's ever too late to start working out?
It's never too late. It's about starting. Once you start, that's all that counts.
Good, but I can't stop if I start.
No. Remember, you know, you're building a lifestyle. Why stop?
All right, so legs you said.
Legs.
All right, let's go.
Let's go. Let's work on our backs.
Okay. So I just pull this thing down?
Yes. You want sexy back? You have to put in the work.
So Patrice, what is it exactly that you do? What is a master mixologist?
Okay. A master mixologist is the highest level it is that you can reach in the bartending arena. So it's something that the USBG, which is the United States Bartending Guild, came out with in 2009, and it's basically a bartender becoming a chef behind the bar. So that's where you start studying spirits and how to infuse it with spices, herbs, etc. You know, stuff like that. In addition, you start now incorporate molecular mixology in your bar.
Molecular mixology?
Yes. So with molecular mixology, what you basically do now is you start creating wow effect using your cocktails. So you now have your edible cocktails, you have your nitrogen cocktails, you have now where you're dabbling a bit into like the master distiller world of where you now start aging your cocktails. So you actually make a cocktail, like example, a whiskey sour, And instead of serving it to your customer, you can put that whiskey sour in a barrel and then age it for like a month, 2 months before you serve it back to your customer.
So explain to us what a typical day is like for you. Do you wake up and mix a drink?
No. A typical day for me starts at 3:30. Get up, get something.
In the afternoon?
No, in the morning.
Okay.
In the morning, Candy. In the morning. So get something light. Like most times it's a banana, and then I go running. I run between 4:30. So it depends on how many miles I'm doing, because I go up to 10 miles during the week. After that, then I do hill training for endurance, then come to the gym, and then get ready for work. And in the middle of that, you know, I have to be a mommy.
So how long have you been doing this?
12 years plus.
12?
Yes.
Well, Patrice, you're not even that old.
Look here, man, you're aging me. You know, I was an accounting clerk before.
Accounting?
Yes. So strange.
A complete different industry.
Total opposite. Let's move on to another machine.
Patrice, 12 years in the industry, but when did Barsico actually start?
In 2005.
2005? So what would you say are some of your greatest successes?
In 2009, I was featured in the Wall Street Journal.
Wow.
Yes. For, you know, mixology. In 2011, Don Ula came out with a recipe book where they feature the world's greatest mixologists. And I was also featured in that, where I had to submit a recipe. And I did the Reposado Lightning, which was a dedication to Usain at the time, because he had just won the Olympics. And then in 2012, I was one of the 50 under 50 recipients.
Oh, the PSOJ 50 under 50. Congratulations,
exactly.
Pat.
Thank you.
Those are amazing feats. And you're just so young. And what would you say are some of your challenges then in getting the business off the ground, or just being a woman in business?
All right, some of my challenges in terms of business is always trying to compete with a bigger company. As a young entrepreneur, you know, and a small business owner, you know, it's very hard for you to compete with larger companies. So you have to come up with creative ways in terms of keeping the business alive. Another challenge I had, which from time to time becomes an issue, is credit facilities. You know, credit facilities are asking entrepreneurs for a whole heap of stuff. And as an entrepreneur, if you want, you know, something from them, where are you going to get it from? That's the reason why you're going to them.
It's more difficult.
Exactly. I would say those two. You're set.
I'm up. I hope I can do the weight, the weight that Patrice is doing.
It's not that bad. Come on, it's not that bad.
So this is a male-dominated field, you'd say. What would you say keeps your edge in an industry like this?
By trying to stay a step ahead of my male counterparts. I have to always find ways to be innovative, creative. And that's how our training academy was started, Barsico Training Academy.
You have that too?
Yes, we do. Wow. So what I did is we started the Hospitality Academy that does hospitality training. So we do bartending training, and not only just regular bartending training, but we take it a step further. So what do we do is, a bartender is doing the advanced program. We now teach them how to do molecular mixology. Every customer that goes to a bar, they're used to the flair attendant. Those are the guys that throw the bottles up and down.
That's what that's called.
Exactly. But what they're not used to is, instead of drinking their cocktail, they're not used to eating their cocktail. Also, when they're drinking their cocktail, they're not used to seeing smoke and stuff coming from their cocktail.
Right.
So in order to create that experience all over the island, that's what we started teaching the bartenders in the school.
Impressive. And finally, what advice would you have for entrepreneurs who want to get into a field like this?
Hard work. It's a lot of work. And the disadvantage with up-and-coming entrepreneurs, they expect overnight success. They want to go to bed, wake up, and they're a millionaire. You have to put in the work. You understand? Because at the end of the day, you're the person who's responsible for your paycheck. You can't listen to naysayers. You come up with an idea, and then you have somebody say, no, that's not going to work, man. That's not going to work. You have to, once you come up with an idea, you understand, start do your market research. Put together your marketing plan, and then execute the idea. And then don't procrastinate. And that's one of the biggest disadvantages that we entrepreneurs have. We procrastinate a lot.
All right, assuming this workout is now over. Patrice, who would you say is your biggest inspiration?
My biggest inspiration is my daughter.
You have a daughter looking like this?
I do. I have an 11-year-old, and she's the reason why I'm always driving. You know, she pushes me.
So with so many things going on at home and in your business, how important is it for you to have downtime, for you to just relax?
And that's where my partner comes into play.
Naturally.
Yes. From time to time, you know, him have a real mean, come Pat, come. You have to, you know, you have to remember you have your family, so you have to find balance and stuff. And he's a big support system for me. I'm very thankful and grateful for the support that he lends and for always trying to bring me back down to earth, like, you know?
Just like a partnership.
Yes.
What would you say are your goals for the future, personally or professionally?
Professional goals is we're expanding the school, and I'm also getting married in a couple of months.
Getting married, congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you give us any wedding dates?
Let's just say in a couple of months, I'll now be called Mrs. White. Ooh. That's all.
Good girl.
Thanks.
So, what is that mask? What does it do?
It's a training mask. So what it does, it simulates a training as if you're on high altitude. So you can train at 3,000 feet, 12,000 feet, 15,000 feet, or 18,000 feet.
So that makes it more difficult.
Exactly.
Oh.
It does. So if I'm supposed to do the same routine without the training mask, because I'm used to training in the mask, it makes it much easier for me to do the routine, and I can do more reps without the mask.
Okay, I get you. All right, so our next stop is Mountain Spring.
Exactly.
How many of you guys work out? So what specifically do you do when you come up here?
We do training with resistant bands, ropes, etc.
I'm not going to that.
Of course. Why are you here?
Our women are the backbone of our society. They deserve to be protected and respected. Domestic violence is not okay. Speak up and speak out. No more violence against women.
Cameo brings the creative industries to life, highlighting creatives in different fields each week. Art.
My life surrounds art. I breathe, I eat art.
Fashion. Food.
Without a customer, we're nothing but four walls.
Music. Film. Cameo, only on Business Access TV.
So Patrice, you brought us up here to Mountain Spring. Where exactly are we?
We're exactly upper Barbican, hills above Barbican.
Okay, and what do people normally do when they come up here?
They use it for their cardio routine. A lot of people are bored in the gym. You know, I personally hate working out on the treadmill, so you have to get your cardio exercises somewhere. So
So you get a good burn climbing the hill to come up to the top, and then from here up there, then you do sprint drills over and over.
So what specifically do you do when you come up here? Because I know that's not what you do.
When I come here, I do what I call hill training. So we do training with resistant bands, ropes, chains, weights, etc.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, of course. Why are you here?
But you don't recommend it for beginners like me, right? It's only
No.
for the experts like you.
Not for beginners, but once you start getting into the fitness routine, then you can transition into what it is that I do.
All right, so what exactly we're going to be doing today? Because you're getting me scared now.
We're going to do some hill training that will incorporate using the resistant bands, ropes, chains. I'm sure you've seen me with my chain already. Yes. And we have some 45 plates. So we're going to have a lot of fun today.
So is there anything I need to know before I do this thing?
I hope you ate before.
I did. So what kind of results do you get from this kind of training?
If you're working out to lose weight, then it's a good fat burning process. For me personally, I do it for endurance and for strength. I want to be strong like the male counterparts. You understand me? I have an ego that's very big. I want to do whatever it is that the male counterpart is doing, I'm able to do it. So it's more of a strength endurance thing for me.
So like you said, you have to be, you know, a little advanced in the gym or in your fitness regimen to come up here and do what you do. What else do we need to know to do this sort of training?
Remember I asked you if you ate. Eating is important before you start training and to stay hydrated throughout the process. The minute you start feeling any sort of discomfort, because you know we really go hardcore with the training, so the minute you start feeling any sort of discomfort, you have to let us know, because then you have to stop. Health is important and safety is important for us.
I think I'm feeling a little discomfort
No,
already.
you're still doing it. You're still doing it, man.
All right, Pat. Well, let's go. I'm ready. I think.
Okay.
Ready?
Oh, Jesus.
Go. Go.
Well, Pat, I don't know about you, but it was a pretty intense workout and I'm ready to have a drink and just cool off later. So we're going to be linking up, right?
Definitely.
All right, good. Later.
Yeah.
Hi, guys. Hi, Pat.
Hey, Candy.
How are you?
What's up?
So who do we have here?
This is Tess Marie, Dawnit, and Janelle.
Hi guys, so how do you guys know each other? Or know Pat, I should say.
Well, I've known Pat for more than 15 years, so I'm probably her longest friend.
Boy, Tess just aged me. Tess? Oh my God.
I've known her for more than 15 years, yes. Pat and I go way back.
Thank you, Tess. You're very old. Thank you.
We had a mutual friend.
That sounds juicy, you know. How was about you? Oh, you guys train together? Yes, we did a little bit of that today. Not much. So what else do you guys do for fun?
Well, we get together a lot and try different restaurants, hang out at Pat's house, you know, girl talk. Yes, and Empire.
Love and hip hop. Come on.
So lots of TV shows.
Yes, a lot of TV shows.
Reality show fanatics.
Yes. You know, enjoying each other's company, catching up from the week.
I know I was talking to Pat earlier today and she mentioned that she'll be getting married soon. So are there any bachelorette plans? Spill the beans.
Well, you know, I can't really spill the beans, but let's just say we'll be going away and having fun, you know, but of course, what happens though? Where are you guys? We're going to Miami and probably somewhere.
It's actually two parties. We have one in Miami and we have one here in Jamaica. Most of my bridesmaids are from the States. So, you know, we have to make sure
It's only right to include everybody. Well, all this talk about the Bachelorette has me a little thirsty, so I'd like to order. I've heard a lot of good things about the Blue Cosmos, so I'd like to try that, please. Thank you very much. And let's talk a little bit about Opal. What brings you guys here? Why do you guys hang out here?
I personally love the vibe and the ambience of the place. Outside of that, Opal has a customer service experience. Alex, the owner, he goes beyond the Call of Duty in terms of ensuring that each customer experience that service that he's delivering. And then food, we're all foodies. Remember I told you I'm a fat girl on the inside. So when I want good food to eat, I come here.
What exactly is Greek food though?
Well, it's actually regular food, chicken, shrimp, pork, fish, but the main element of the meal is the sauces, which is tomato sauce and lemon sauce. So that actually, you know,
it's
makes
very
it
healthy.
very palatable and it's healthy.
And that fits in my lifestyle.
And we all know that Pat is all about the healthy lifestyle.
All right, in Pat's case, I'm gonna make an exception. What sentence would you use to describe Pat?
Hard work in everything she does.
Pat is loyal, very headstrong. Those two elements of her personality can be misunderstood at times, but usually it's always coming from a good place. Okay. Pat is straightforward.
Yes. If it had to be one word we had to choose, it would be straightforward.
Well, we have to keep it real, guys. We have to keep it real.
Okay, 2 words. Straightforward and 3 words. Straightforward and she's a fitness junkie. Right. We all
Definitely got that. Definitely got that. All right, well, all this talk about food is getting me very, very hungry, so I'm ready to taste this very healthy lemon-based excitement that they have here. So let's head inside.
That makes 2 of us.
Let's go.
How would you describe yourself?
I'm a no-nonsense person.
No nonsense.
I get straight to the point.
We are back with another exciting, innovative, and inspiring season.
It takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness, being consistent and persistent in whatever you're doing. That's the bottom line.
Business exists to add value to people's lives. And if we're not doing that, might as well we lock down the store and just call it a day.
It's a season 3 of Creating Wealth, Mondays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
So Pat, we've sort of heard from the girls on what they think of you. How would you describe yourself?
I'm a no-nonsense person.
No nonsense.
I get straight to the point.
Talk to us a little bit about your childhood. Where were you raised and how?
I'm from Spanish Town. I was raised by both my mother and father. Different households, so back and forth between both of them. And then when I reached high school, I started moving around from one family to the other family to the other family. Stayed with some friends at one point in time. Yeah. My childhood was a very rough one, very, very rough. And I guess that's what lead or dictates who I am now, who I am today. I went to Tarrant Primary, then Mergrove, then went on to UCC after. I'm a certified accountant.
Right. I think you mentioned that earlier.
Then I got into the bar service business.
Right. What about siblings? Do you have any siblings?
I have 3 brothers.
How many siblings did you say you had?
3.
3 siblings.
Brothers.
But you only have 1 daughter.
Yes.
All right, let's talk a little bit about her.
Beautiful girl.
That's the apple of my eye.
Clearly, she's blushing.
They're nothing alike. That's how I know that.
Yeah. Complete opposite.
She is a good girl, I can say that. I mean, we all know that she went through a lot growing up, so what I really admire about her is that she really ensured that her daughter had the best,
The relationship I have with my daughter, now, I wish I had that relationship with my mother. Motherhood for me is a learning experience and also give me the opportunity of reliving the the childhood that I wanted to live as a child. So the relationship that we have, we're very tight. Some people call her my twin. We're very, 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 very
Do they actually look alike?
No, we don't.
And they don't act alike either. And she's very proper and quiet.
Very prim, very, very prim. And she'd be like, Mom, you're embarrassing me.
That's her favorite line.
Yes.
So honestly, they're like sisters. From what I've seen, they're like sisters.
Well, if they were in the same clothes, then they're certainly more like sisters than anything else.
And trust me, Pat take it as a compliment.
And what about your husband-to-be? Tell us the story of how you guys met.
Oh, wow.
Donovan.
By the way, we're all team Don. So we have an ongoing
Hello,
joke.
can I speak?
Sorry.
Can I
speak? We're all team Don.
Don can do nothing wrong where they're concerned. Don and I, we knew of each other before because we're in the same industry. But we first exchanged conversation at Miami International Airport when I needed his help with a business issue. And we can just say the rest is history from there.
What's the one thing about yourself that people would never guess?
One thing that people don't know about me, they will never guess it because I always shut down that topic or pretend that it doesn't matter to me, is to this very day, I wish I had a relationship with my mother. Hopefully we will do so sometime before either of us passes away, but that's something that I wish.
What advice would you give to the younger you, if you could give the younger you some advice?
That's a tough one. I got married at a pretty young age. I got married when I was 19 years of age. And if I could go back in the past to my younger self, I'd tell my younger self to wait.
To wait.
Yeah.
I can respect that.
I think we all can respect that as women.
Yeah.
I think you need to know yourself and explore your youth first before you know you with somebody else. Exactly.
Absolutely.
You don't have to spend a bag of money on divorce, don't you?
But on a lighter note, where is the
food? Thank you.
Opa!
Opa!
Should we say a prayer or blessing?
Yes, absolutely. Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us here together as friends, old and new. And we ask that you allow our bodies to use this food that has been so graciously prepared for us, dear Lord. And we give you thanks and praises. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Jesus.
Beautiful.
Well, Patrice, I just want to tell you thank you for having us today. One of your chill spots was a little exhausting, but that's okay. I can appreciate your lifestyle, and of course, Opa is absolutely fabulous. So thank you for having us.
You're welcome, Candy.
All right.
I can't complain about the day that I've had with Patrice. We started out with a workout at Spartan and we've ended the night here at Opa where we've had fabulous food and drinks. Until next time, I'm Candy for Chill Spot. Bye. Patrice did this at 10, but I'm clearly much stronger, so I'm moving this down to 40.
You're capturing that?
So,
no!
Woo! I can barely lift this. All this bachelorette talk has me a little thirsty, so I forgot the name of my drink. What name? Blue Cosmo. Okay. So what the blah 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 blah. What kind of restaurant is it though?
It's a Greek restaurant.
So what is Greek food exactly?
Oh, we are to know it. What should I get technical now? But Jesus! I want this one!
What is it?
You're watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Business Access. Use access.
Business Access TV.
Serious.
Serious.
Serious about business.
Crime, corruption, and criminal justice. AmCham, the American Chamber of Commerce, is shining a light on these topics here at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel in a luncheon that's looking at how these affect Jamaica's trade and investment potential. I'm Elon Parkinson. Let's take a look at the highlights.
One of the things that I realize is that having these forums, it provides us with an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to improve. And all members should give your organization a round of applause. Put your hands together for it. For weeks, I was talking about business unusual. For weeks, that was the last one on the economy that you guys had. And I was in cocktail conversation sounding smarter than I am just by virtue of having been in the room. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out today. I'm going to apologize for the National Security Minister, Dr. Horace Chang. He did intend to be here, but he was called at the last minute to Parliament. I believe he has a parliamentary committee that he must be at, so they've summoned him. The numbers are important in these committees to make quorum and to participate in discussions at Gordon House, so he won't be with us today. The DPP, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Paula Llewellyn, is here. Thank you very much for being here with us today, as is Dirk Harrison, the acting head of the Corruption Prosecution Division at the Integrity Commission. Always glad to have Professor Anthony Clayton, a respected criminologist, here with us today. Jason Fraser is the country rep of the USAID. Thank you very much, and looking forward to hearing their presentations later today. At this time, I'm going to invite Alison Peart, the president of AmCham of Jamaica, to give the official welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody. You know, we look so officious and so quiet. It's very, very important business, but I'm hoping today you're going to learn a lot more. You're going to leave here understanding more about some of the issues and, more importantly, with some solutions. Because it's one thing to speak about our issues, but if we don't find a solution, we're just a talk shop. And I love Nationwide on the radio, but we don't just want to talk. We want to come up with some solutions. So as the president of the American Chamber of Commerce in Jamaica, we thought it very important. We talk about how wonderful the economy was. Our last session was business unusual. But if we have crime issues, if people don't feel, Jamaicans don't feel comfortable going about their daily lives, if our foreign investors don't feel comfortable, if our children who are our future have issues, where are we as a nation? So we thought it very important to bring together a panel that would engage in the dialogue about crime, corruption, criminal justice. How does it affect our trade and investment? Because it makes no sense to talk about our GDP growing or our debt to GDP if we're dying. It makes no sense if our future is tied to crime. So this dialogue is very, 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 very important, and I am very happy you're here with us.
Okay, the question today is how much crime and corruption and a dysfunctional justice system are actually inhibiting the development of Jamaica and inward investment. Because we don't just have one problem, we have quite a complex array of problems. And it's quite hard to know how much we should attribute to any one of these and how much any one of these is contributing to what has historically been a very low rate of growth and significant difficulties in attracting inward investment and retaining domestic capital and retaining human capital. These are the headline ones. We have one of the highest rates of violence in the world. We have a large number, a significant number of gangs. About 80% of our homicide are gang-related. The rest are primarily domestic violence. So the fact that we have a large number of gangs is clearly a major factor in maintaining one of the world's highest levels of homicide. There are fundamental challenges still in our system of governance. As I'll be going on to say in a few minutes, we have people in public life who help to create this problem with gangs and high levels of violence, and that link has never been yet severed, and that is still a challenge that we have yet to face. What, of course, that does is it undermines the moral authority of government. If you have a situation where all the bad guys are out there and everybody in government is honest and competent, it's not really very difficult to deal with the problems of crime. The problem is when the boundaries between the two are blurred and when you have criminals who are getting high-level political protection. At that point, it's much, much harder to deal with the issues. Of course, what that feeds is a culture of cynicism, low trust, and that has a great deal to do with sustaining a high level of violence. In any country where you see that people do not trust the police and do not trust the justice system, they're much more likely to have recourse to violence to solve their issues and disputes. So it's partly reflecting the fact that we've still got deep weaknesses in our system of governance. But let's put this in a little context. There's only one demographic for whom violence is the leading cause of premature morbidity, which is young males, late teens, early 20s. For every other demographic, it's actually cheeseburgers that are more likely to kill you. We've got issues with, like every other country, with steeply rising rates of non-communicable diseases. And we can't also forget the fact that we have perennial challenges with energy security, increasingly with water security, which is related, because years ago we made the decision that everybody must be on a piped water supply, which means that we're now committed to a program of pumping water up hillsides, which means that if our energy system goes down, our water system goes down too. In hindsight, perhaps that wasn't a very good decision. So we've got issues with energy, water security, and more generally food and access to resources. We live in a seismically active part of the world. We live in the hurricane belt. There's challenges with emerging exotic diseases, and of course we've got a background issue really serious now, as people have started to realize with climate change. You may have heard that this summer is the hottest ever recorded in Jamaica's history. And in fact, there is now real grounds for concern that we've gone past an irrevocable point, and that we will not ever revert back to the low temperatures of the past. So this is something that we may now have to make a permanent adjustment to.
Cameo brings the creative industries to life, highlighting creatives in different fields each week. Art.
My life surrounds art. I breathe, I eat art.
Fashion. Food.
Without a customer, we're nothing but four walls.
Music. Film. Cameo, only on Business Access TV.
One of our highest priorities of the U.S. government in Jamaica is to work with our counterparts to interdict Jamaican and Caribbean-based transnational criminal activity, including narcotics and arms trafficking, trafficking in persons, and financial fraud targeting U.S. citizens. The U.S. government has also invested heavily in supporting anti-corruption initiatives with the civil society and Jamaican government, as well as supported improvements in the justice system. In total, the U.S. government invests about $12 million in security-related programming annually, which does not include all the various partnerships and collaborations that our various U.S. government agencies have with their counterparts. In fact, USAID Jamaica just advertised a broad agency announcement to co-design our flagship community violence prevention activity with key stakeholders such as the government, academia, and private sector. This unique co-creation approach encourages key stakeholders to co-create and deliver the services that are vital to prevent youth crime and violence at the community level. Law enforcement and criminal justice are important to controlling crime, as we all know, and corruption. But we also have to address the underlying social challenges that both cause and contribute to crime. Within the broad range of U.S. cooperation on crime, and this is where USAID comes in, we partner with the government and civil society on a range of programs to address the root causes of crime in Jamaica. So in the area of community safety and security, and building upon past successes with community-based policing, USAID focuses on the strengthening of community-based and civil society organizations, the promotion of community-driven activities, the development of long-term champions of a culture of lawfulness, and the enhancement of ministries, departments, and agencies of the state to be more community-oriented institutions. In this way, we believe that we contribute to building safer communities, strengthening social cohesion, and improving civic engagement participation. USAID also works with holistic youth-friendly approaches that aims to assist at-risk youth in becoming active citizens through the engagement of different social, educational, behavioral, and recreational activities. This approach includes three main areas regarding youth involved in criminality: prevention, intervention, and rehabilitation, including diversion activities as alternatives to traditional incarceration for first-time offenders. Youth also develop skills through educational programs which introduce them to fundamental concepts in business, economics, individual accountability, and entrepreneurship. USAID expects that life skills and technical training will increase opportunities for at-risk youth to work within the legitimate economy, thereby reducing the likelihood of involvement in gang and criminal activity. In Jamaica, relationships with key public sector, private sector, and donor agency partners are being leveraged to create programs to build skills and to identify work options for youth. USAID also works in the youth remandee centers, which includes case management follow-up to facilitate at-risk youth acquiring job and education opportunities when they are released. In the area of corruption, the Combating Corruption in Jamaica project has not only built public demand for more effective action against corruption through awareness campaigns, but has also provided training to government and civil society partners to build capacity and increase advocacy. The project is expected to have an impact on the nation's capacity and the ability to effectively control instances of and attitudes towards corruption in general and political corruption in particular. So what's the role of the private sector in addressing the root causes? That's why we're all here today. Many of you are representing private sector organizations. How can the private sector be a key partner in addressing some of these root causes? Obviously, many of you are part of the community, and so you have an interest. Your companies are often affected by the high rates of crime and corruption. So it's important that government, international partners who support government, NGOs, and the private sector work together to address these issues. We've all been to various forums on issues surrounding crime in Jamaica. I think the private sector here needs to continue to ask itself what it is doing to address the issue. Clearly, advocacy is important to press for resources, accountability, and support in combating crime. But there's much more that can be done to invest in communities to make them safer and create opportunities for the next generation to be prosperous. Looking ahead, we welcome the opportunity to increase our engagement with the private sector on these challenges because of the energy and innovation that they typically bring to the table. USAID is a learning agency, and we are constantly exploring how to improve our work and increase our impact. So as we streamline our programs and look for new strategic partners, we invite the private sector to partner with us as we both work towards the common goal of helping Jamaicans thrive.
There's this sense of a godlike syndrome that during some transactions an oversight body must lap its tail or virtually hold its corner in the name of investment. There are different roles for each stakeholder. Each must stay in their lane and accept criticism when constructively made. On the contrary, ladies and gentlemen, potential investors, in fact, should be happy that the business environment observes the rule of law and that democracy flourishes with built-in checks and balances. If I were an investor about to enter Jamaica, it's incumbent on me and my handlers to look out for red flags and indicators of the environment. I name a few on a list that is not exhaustive. 1, determine the role of the oversight body. It must be effective, efficient, fearless, and it must be respected. What, if any, comment does the oversight body have to say on a process or an investment opportunity that you wish to enter? The engagement, ladies and gentlemen, of investors and investor confidence, existing and thriving, must be viewed on a virtual 2-lane highway. That is a 2-way street with rules and guidelines being applicable. 2, does the police service support and protect local and non-Jamaican community members? Do they communicate with all persons? Are they accessible at all times? Maintain a presence that the visitor or citizen believes and recognizes that if they do wrong, they'll be detected. But lines of communication must always be in place. For too long in this blessed country, the notion exists that unless someone knows you and you not knowing them, nothing will happen. That needs to end. In a time of real emergency, the joke is told, unless you have on speed dial a member of the police force, the response time to a complaint is sometimes unacceptable. Another thing that I would think an investor would look for, there must be a criminal justice system that is efficient and effective, and we must congratulate the learned Chief Justice for the renaissance and the role of the DPP's office in the renaissance that is taking place now. But we must also have financial services, a banking system, healthcare facilities. They must be adequate, to name a few components. Importantly, ladies and gentlemen, on Jamaica's stock exchange record, Michael Reagan, writing in Bloomberg Business Week, January 18, 2019, states the Jamaican stock exchange is the world's best performing. Its outperformance over the past 5 years is even more striking. Jamaica's stocks have surged almost 300%, more than quadrupling the next best performing national benchmark and septupling the S&P Standard & Poor's 500's advance. I make bold to say that the very important successes must be highlighted with all the negatives on crime and violence reported in the last 48 hours in Jamaica. Also, the awards in the tourism sector must also be celebrated. However, we must do better. Ladies and gentlemen, what are some of the solutions? Government agencies must work together all the time and set aside jealousies and petty matters which have no place in a professional setting. Interagency cooperation and collaboration must be emphasized and practiced. We must build bridges and stop tearing down, emasculating, and ridiculing persons. The fact that you do not agree is no reason to disrespect. Professionalism is non-negotiable. We must have a review of the timelines to review governance structures. Oftentimes, pieces of legislation give you 3 years to review a legislation. You see in 1 year, nothing is happening. The parliamentary caucus needs to do something about that. We must enhance whistleblowing regimes and encourage the discourse, changing the discourse to, in my words, informer for live. Stop saying informer for dead, informer for live. I must admit, I'm an informer. I'm a proud one. I'm an informer. Tell me something today, I'm going to tell the police tomorrow. We need to modernize the law enforcement units and bring outstanding laws into operation. We need public education to sensitize the world that the perception of corruption or actual is not a reflection of the overwhelming majority of law-abiding Jamaicans. We need to ensure that the police and our oversight bodies work to regain public trust. The police must maintain presence, not just in hotspots, but also generally. It will help to rebuild issues of insecurity. I pause here as I listen to Professor Clayton. In the last month, I visited Cayman. The police carry no guns. A year before, I went to Turks and Caicos. The police had no guns. I visited Grenada a few times. The police had no guns. They have their problems, but I felt safe. I am walking in this, my beloved country, and we're turning and looking behind us every minute. But our Caribbean neighbors, and Professor Clayton showed us the figures, I feel safe. We need to look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, as I close, I reiterate that the government of Jamaica, the ministries, the departments, the statutory bodies, to name a few, must work united to create that package, that which is seen by the outside world, with all the various components and elements that they look at, and which they consider, and which will have the effect to harness growth and encourage investor confidence. But most importantly, we must leave our partners with the belief that integrity is non-negotiable. Honesty is paramount, not by word of mouth, but by our actions. And despite our problems, crime and corruption, that they can and humbly should consider investing in our country to bring about change for good. Acknowledging that the improvement of the basic standards of life may have the effect of changing behavior, but I readily admit we can't legislate for good behavior.
Ready for cable for as little as $100? Ready for no monthly cable bill? Ready for 10 TV channels absolutely free? Then pick up our Ready TV box at authorized stores for $4,500. Hook it up to your TV set, then top it up with Ready Credit for 1, 7, or 30 days. Buy now and get $1,000 free Ready Credit and start watching your favorite shows. Pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Ready TV. Prepaid cable TV when you're ready. Now serving Kingston and St. Catherine. Limited time offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
They say it takes a village to raise a child, but the world will one day need the leadership of that child. The time you spend with your child matters. It stimulates their minds and shapes the way they act. Talk with your children. Help them to better understand the world around them and to value what is truly precious. Above all, the most valuable gift you can give them is love. Play, talk, teach, love. Take the time. It makes all the difference. A message from the Parenting Helpline and Ad Council Jamaica.
In respect of what it takes to inspire confidence, I'm a plain speaker, and I will say, I believe that what is happening in our country, education is the key. I believe that a lot of our children, some of those who come from environments where they are victims of poor and dysfunctional parenting, we need to reintroduce civics in all its forms back within the schools, from the time of the basic school, because there are a lot of our children. People complain that, okay, are the schools not doing enough? But they may go to school, the teachers try their best, and they go back into an environment that is like a black hole of nothingness, because there's no value system, no values, positive values and attitudes. And yet if you take that child and you put that child in another environment, you have intervention, positive intervention, you would be surprised to see the beautiful diamond coming from the rough. So I'm really a big believer in education. Now, another pet peeve of mine is that, and I prosecute police officers, I do not subscribe to the throwing the baby with the bathwater approach. Everybody knows their functions best. But I am not a public official who believes, unless it is necessary in the interest of justice, to make gratuitous comments in terms of seeking to tear down my colleagues anywhere. And I am not into using speculation to put out there to join the call for crucify him, crucify her in the public domain, where you have the court of public opinion demanding, just like the little old ladies who were knitting at the time in the Tale of Two Cities and saying for the noblemen, chop off their heads. I am not into that. At the Director of Public Prosecution's Office, we deal with two things: the law and evidence. Personal emotion, personalities, we are not into it. So even if the court of public opinion or any other opinion would like to see the guillotined head of an individual on a platter, if there is no evidence to prosecute, to mount a viable prosecution, then as a matter of law, we have to say so. And I will say, and it's the first time I'm saying it publicly, first time, and I say it with the greatest of respect, that this is why on occasion, when I've been asked privately, I have registered privately a concern when you have no firewall between agencies that both investigate and prosecute. Because if you are not careful, you run away in the court of public opinion, and the court of law has to catch up. And by the time it gets to court, after a lot of reputational damage has been done, when you look at it, and the defense counsel gets up and says, they are putting the prosecution in limine to prove what is there. The judge asks, and when you pare away what is there, there's nothing there as a matter of law. So sometimes in the court of public opinion, the members of the public would want to see one thing, but both the police and I know that in the court of law, it's either you have to have cogent, credible, reliable, admissible evidence. If you don't have it, then no matter how egregious the conduct of an individual is, then you don't have a case. Then you have to look at the second layer in terms of governance and accountability. And this is where public opinion, civil society can force the government of the day to make sure that all the particular oversight agencies, that they have teeth, that they are well structured, and that the will, the political will is there to make sure that the teeth are not rickety in the oversight agencies, but they can stand up. In other words, if you put a piece of cane in the mouth of the teeth of that oversight agency, the teeth won't come out. It is the cane that will suffer damage.
Riveting perspectives and indeed sobering statistics coming from the AmCham empaneled team here at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. You're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
Hello, my name is Blake, and with my wife Tishai, a year and a half ago, we established Def Can Coffee. We are a not-for-profit social enterprise aimed at engaging, equipping, and empowering deaf youth. So Def Can Coffee started by just taking our students on a field trip to meet Clark, who is a deaf coffee farmer from St. Elizabeth. And Clark, if you meet him, you'll never forget him because he's a character. And he is 78 years old, has grown and roasted coffee on a little farm in St. Elizabeth his whole life. As a family friend of my wife's who grew up around Clark, we decided, hey, let's take our kids to Clark's farm in St. Elizabeth, let them meet him, and just see if they wanted to learn more about coffee. Because at that time, we just wanted to expose our kids to a role model of somebody who's doing something as a deaf person. Well, the kids got so excited about coffee, they came back to Kingston and said, hey, can we roast coffee like Clark? We said, hey, we can try that. And so we got this little tabletop roaster that roasts a half pound of coffee at a time. We got some green coffee from Clark, and we started roasting. And pretty soon the boys say, well, can we taste this coffee too? We say, sure. So we got a Mr. Coffee machine that was collecting dust on the shelf, cleaned it up, and they started brewing coffee. And then people would come by and they'd say, hey, you want to taste our coffee? People would say, yeah. So they taste it and be like, wow, this is really good. And it's like, yeah, it's fresh roasted coffee. It's got to be good. And then people say, well, can we pay you for this cup of coffee? And we say, okay. And it just really organically grew because the boys were doing everything as a group. As they started selling coffee to customers, their smiles got a little bit bigger, they started getting pride, and they felt affirmed. They had positive attitudes about themselves. About a year ago in March, we decided actually to not just roast coffee, but to start a small coffee shop here at the school campus. After 3 months of running it here at the school, we said, this has potential to actually employ people. This has potential to go beyond just the walls of this campus. And so in July of last year, we actually registered Def Can Coffee as a business name and started the formal process of developing ourselves as a legal entity. The name Def Can Coffee, when I look back on it, I just have to say, God knew what we needed. We never really had a lot of discussion. We never did a whole lot of thinking about what the name was going to be. So we just talked to the boys group, the boys Bible study group that this all started from. We said, what do you guys want the world to know? What is your message that's going to be the core of your being moving forward? And they said, we want people to know that we can. And we just kind of wrote out on the board, Def Can Coffee. It wasn't until a few months later that we actually registered the name when we felt like, yeah, this is the right thing to move forward with. But it just kind of happened because the boys, that's the message that they want to share with the world, is that they can do anything. And so Def Can Coffee was the resulting name. When we started, we had no idea that we were going to have a business. It started as just like a kind of a project to get the kids a little bit more excited and to have more confidence. We started with just roasting coffee, and so we were bagging it and selling it. And then from there we started doing espresso-based drinks and lattes, cappuccinos. And then some people said, well, you know, it's already hot here. Some people are going to want cold drinks. We said, yeah, absolutely. So the boys saved up their own money and bought a blender and started doing frappuccinos. And then somebody said, well, let's blend up some fruit. So they started doing fruit smoothies. And then somebody said, well, we want to do a milkshake. So they started making milkshakes. They're working now on kind of a roots drink using vegetables and fruits and blending those up to make a really healthy drink. This is Nitro cold coffee. What we have is a keg, and inside of it is cold brew coffee. I think we're the only people in Jamaica that are doing Nitro cold brew coffee, which is cold brew coffee put into a keg, pressurized with nitrogen, and then the nitrogen gas infuses with the coffee, and it's served on tap. So we compare it to Guinness and tell people we have Guinness coffee. Tastes like creamers in the coffee. It's delicious. This is entrepreneurial business education. And so grades 9, 10, 11 students came with their own recipe, and they bottle cold coffee and added vanilla flavoring to it. So it's an energy drink that's bottled and you can just grab it and go. We do kind of anything coffee, whether it's hot or cold. Anybody could come here and get something they want. We've had multiple people who are coffee connoisseurs who have come in here and said that this is the best coffee they've ever had in Jamaica. We've also had people that come in here and say, coffee? I don't want to drink coffee. Coffee's gross, you know? And so we'll serve them something else and they'll find something that they like. So whether you're a coffee purist or whether you want something that's sweet or whether you want something that's just a fruit smoothie that's healthy, that is refreshing, helps you keep going, we have something for you. So really, I feel like we can match most demographics and most market segments. Our tagline that we operate by is engage, equip, empower. My wife, being a deaf Jamaican herself, has grown up where she has seen a lot of people try to help deaf people. And a lot of their approach to helping somebody is by giving them things. And then they would wait to see what the deaf person would do with it. And inevitably, nothing would happen. And the person would walk away saying, oh, the deaf person can't do it. So we started from a basic principle that our students have to be engaged and have to have ownership in it. And so we said, okay, we'll save up your money that you're earning from these coffee sales and buy better equipment. So they bought their first espresso machine, they bought their first grinder, and it continued to grow with their own participation. So that's engagement. Once they're engaged and have ownership and want it, but then they need the skills to be taught to them. So that's when we partnered with various coffee shops. And Sidecar Coffee from the US was our first critical partner, and they were willing to come down here and put on a 2-day intensive barista training workshop for our students, and 17 of our boys got certified as a level 1 barista. And from there, it just has continued to take off where as we need funding, they save up their own money. They have objectives and goals of what they want to save up for next. They save up, and then we go out and get it. When we built this training center, this was really because as we saw the growth that happened in the first 4 to 6 months of the small coffee shop, we said, there's so much opportunity here because the kids want to learn more. And so we reached out to Digicel Foundation here locally and said, we have this vision, this dream of having a cafe training center. And they came and did a site visit and loved what we were doing and came alongside of us. Digicel Foundation gave us a $3.5 million grant to build the space that we're in right now. We also received funding locally from Harvest Call Jamaica, which is the not-for-profit that my wife and I operate here in Jamaica that does things outside of just the deaf schools. We also work with children's homes and infirmaries and hospitals, but we also got $10,000 US grant from them to build this training center. But my wife does not want us to go looking around for a lot of donations and freebies because the kids need to have ownership of it. They need to feel involved in that it's part of their business. The business part of it, where we actually go mobile and have a business that caters to the public, is something that's really self-sustaining. We don't want to look for a lot of outside fundings for that because we want them to feel that it's theirs. We are making a profit. Again, because we've been operating within a school setting and students, and it's basically training for them, there's not wages or salaries. We're not paying full-time workers. So we don't have some of the overhead that a traditional business would have. Or as we grow and go out into the public, we will eventually have one day. We don't really have opening public hours. We don't want just random people coming off the street and coming here because we have children and we have to make sure that our children are taken care of and that they're protected. So we can't just have really strangers coming in. But we do have people that keep hearing about us and they show up at the gate. And if we're here, we'll gladly open up and serve them. But moving forward, we'd like to have a public space where then the general public can just go there to an offsite location. One of our goals at the very beginning was to create community, because that's really one of the things that our deaf youth lack in their life is community, that they really feel a sense of belonging to. So from the very beginning, we wanted to nurture that and make sure that we protected it and make sure that the boys that this started with, that it was theirs to run. But as it grew, deaf as adults started hearing about what we were doing. And so we started getting interest from outside people saying, hey, I've heard about Deaf Can Coffee, I'm deaf, can I get involved? And so we're not actively out there seeking people, they're coming to us, and through that we're able to kind of filter through the people that really want to learn and versus the people that are just kind of discontent with life and want something easy. Because one of the key principles that the boys understand is that you have to work hard. You know, business takes hard work, and you have to be committed to it, and you have to work together as a team. Through that, we've developed Carlisle and Fabian as a manager and assistant manager, where they're really the leaders moving forward, and they know who to contact if we need somebody else. We have deaf culture already in existence, which has its own set of norms and values, and we incorporate those fully into the business. And so things have to be visually friendly, things have to be spatial. In our training center here, everything's open. And so there's not a way, so we can have a group of kids that are in a circle or a semicircle where everything is visual. Everyone can see everybody and they can communicate clearly. So everything we do is kind of in a semicircle and open. And that's a cultural value from deaf culture. But then within the business culture, we're creating very much an emphasis on interdependence. First, we're very dependent on others. As a child growing up, we're very dependent. As we get into being teen years, we want to be very independent. We don't want anybody to tell us to do anything. As you become an adult, you realize you have to be both. You have to be dependent and independent, and that's interdependence. Don't you just focus on an area that you're really good at and try to become the best. Try to raise up the level of your peers too. And so through that, they're working together. And that's really what we want to embody in our culture, is a body that it's all about the team. And if one person fails, then we all fail. The concept of entrepreneurialism is something that our students didn't have a real strong grasp of before we started this. But as they've grown their own business, they're starting to realize what being an entrepreneur is all about. Mostly it's about learning. And a lot of the things that they've learned the most is that you have to take risks. And you have to be calculated, you can't be foolish, but you have to try something. And so we are seeing more creative thoughts coming out of them in ways that we never really anticipated. We're seeing artistic sides of our students come out when they're thinking about marketing. They're saying, okay, how can we make this more visually appealing? And so we actually had students design by hand sketch a new logo for our cold coffee bottled energy drink. So one of our deaf students drew that, and then we sent it to Justin Forbes, who's a deaf graphic artist here in Kingston, and he developed the logo more fully for them that's digital that we print today. So in a lot of different ways, entrepreneurialism is starting to affect the way that they think, and starting to realize that inside of every one of us, we have creative capabilities and ideas that just have to be tapped into.
Career Moves has always explored interesting careers, highlighting all you may not have known about them. This season is no different.
Coming back to Jamaica, everyone's like, fizzy what? Fizzy who?
When you find a bright boy or girl in the class and people say, what are you going to be? The parents will say, you have to go be a doctor, you have to go be a lawyer. Nobody says you have to go be a politician.
Let me see your hands!
Tune in Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
We believe that Deaf Can really go anywhere. And when you ask some of our boys, they're going to say, we're not just thinking about Jamaica, we're thinking about Deaf Can coffee being all over the world. And one of the reasons for that is because 90% of the coffee in the world is grown in third world and developing countries. In third world and developing countries, you're by default going to have less governmental program, less intervention, and lower education standards for deaf people. And so you can literally go into a coffee-producing country where there's already going to be a disenfranchised, at-risk deaf community. And you can go in and you can get them engaged in that. And once it's a deaf person that's going in and training and teaching, deaf people by nature will just flock to it. And so the deaf community throughout the world does not share the same language, but they share the same cultural values. And so our guys could literally go to another country and walk around with a Deaf Can Coffee sign anywhere where there's a deaf community, and people will come and want to know more, and you can engage people through that. And once they're engaged and want it, then you can equip them with the skills necessary to run it. And once you have a person engaged and equipped, that leads to empowerment. And so our boys have dreams and visions of being beyond just Jamaica. And that's something that I absolutely believe can happen. I think there are a few things that are critical for an entrepreneur. First, you have to believe in something. If you don't believe in it, there's no way that you're going to be able to convince and convey to your customer that it's worth their time or their resources to buy your product or service. And so it has to be something that you're passionate about. You also have to have a vision of where you want to go and allow that to guide your decision making. So here for us at Deaf Can Coffee, our vision is to have a deaf community and deaf youth who are empowered. And so every decision we make is, do we believe that this decision will lead to our youth becoming more empowered, or will this become a distraction? Besides kind of the theoretical vision things, you have to put in a lot of hard work. You have to be willing to make sacrifices. You have to be willing to take risks and learn. Every time you make a mistake, it's a phenomenal opportunity to learn something, and you'll never make that mistake again. Unless you don't want to view it as a learning experience, you want to be frustrated by a mistake, then you'll end up making that same mistake again. Success for us is not defined by what margin we're making, how profitable we are. We believe that if our students are getting the skills necessary and the self-esteem and confidence necessary to perform, that will all take care of itself. I think for my wife and I, our biggest fear is that somehow through a failure to guide this social enterprise properly, that we could actually end up convincing people that deaf can't. So what I mean by that is, and some of the experiences that we've learned from by making mistakes, say we have the opportunity to open up our own shop somewhere, and we say, all right, yes, let's do it, but we're not ready to do it. If we open up our own shop and have our own storefront and everything, but we're not actually to the point where we're mature enough as a business to handle that, and it fails, everybody that walked through those doors and saw it close are going to look at it and say, oh, deaf can't. And so we've been very careful about how we grow the business. We've used the analogy with the students of as a child grows, they grow from an infant to a toddler to an adult. And as an infant, you learn to crawl, and as a toddler you learn to walk, and as an adult you learn to run. So we use that analogy with them and say, hey, we're still crawling, or we're still walking here, we're not quite ready to run. Because if we don't manage that properly and allow it to grow sustainably, people are going to realize that deaf can't. And that's the antithesis of what we want people to believe. We want everything we do to affirm that deaf can. What motivates me is people like Clark, the man that started this, people like my wife, who are, through their lives, proving to people and demonstrating that deaf can, that literally deaf can do anything, and that there are some ways that deaf can do things better. I get excited when somebody comes in here and says, wow, this is the best espresso I've had in Jamaica. And you see our guys, smile and stand up straight, and they're proud of themselves. That's what motivates me. Those moments where somebody comes in and says, wow, deaf can. And then the response of our guys that say, yeah, we know. And as that confidence within them grows, they're starting to believe in other things they can do outside of coffee. And they're getting more confidence, and their own creative talents are starting to bubble to the surface. And we've realized that as we go and share this message, some of our boys are phenomenal with crowds. They're great with an audience. An audience will be sitting out there, and they'll be telling them a story, and their expressions that come through their face or expression in their body just captivates people, and realize this person could be on stage. They could do anything. And those moments where the general public gets it, where they say, wow, deaf can, and those moments where our youth say, yeah, we know, that's what motivates me. I live for those moments where people just get it and they say, wow, I want some more of this. When you just can't go to sleep at night. When you're dead tired, you're completely spent, and you lay your head down, an idea pops up. And then your brain starts going again, and you just can't turn it off. So you're up at 2 in the morning, typing something out, or emailing somebody with something you want to tell, and just those are the moments where you're like, wish I didn't have this thing on my mind. And then you say, well, if I didn't have that, would life be as exciting as it is? And so learn to embrace those moments of inspiration, and to realize that those moments where you wish you could just turn off your brain but it's still going are actually some of the greatest moments to really just focus, get the clutter out of your mind, and sit and just put things on paper, get them out, and think about them. But I love the interaction that we have with different people that Def Can Coffee is attracting. Literally attracting people from all over. We've had people from all over the world that have heard about us and have come to see it. They might not be flying to Jamaica specifically for it, but they hear about it and they want to come see it while they're visiting. And then to have local Jamaicans that have come here and to realize, wow, the deaf community has a lot to offer. And so what we're hoping is that through this, other employers will come and see what the kids are doing. They'll see the commercials they're making. They'll see, the cakes they're baking and say, hey, I have a job for you. You can come work for me, because we're not really all about just trying to create this massive Def Can Coffee organization. I believe that because we are addressing a root issue in the lives of vulnerable people, that's God's heart. God's heart is for the vulnerable. He's for the oppressed. He's not about the people who think they have everything in life. And I think that as we have very carefully tried to address the true lack that's experienced in the lives of our kids, that God is blessing that, and He's growing it to allow us to fill up their cups so that our kids lack nothing anymore. They don't lack the confidence, they don't lack the skills necessary, they don't lack the opportunities in life to really grow themselves and use the gifts that He's given them.
Ready for cable for as little as $100? Ready for no monthly cable bill? Ready for 10 TV channels absolutely free? Then pick up our Ready TV box at authorized stores for $4,500. Hook it up to your TV set, then top it up with Ready Credit for 1, 7, or 30 days. Buy now and get $1,000 free Ready Credit and start watching your favorite shows. Pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Ready TV. Prepaid cable TV when you're ready. Now serving Kingston and St. Catherine. Limited time offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Sundays at 4:30 p.m. It's all about Home Sweet Home. Get your half-hour dose of the business of real estate, from laws and concepts to reality, building, buying, or renting. Or what about trends in decor or renovations? Home Sweet Home will keep you up to date.
Traveled around now, going through different places. The Digicel Foundation heard about us, and we showed proof to them that we could do it, that Def can. Digicel Foundation was so impressed by what they did, they gave us a grant to build a training center. And so now, as you saw over there, we have a new silver espresso machine that's really powerful. We're really happy for what we have. Our goal is to continue to grow our business. I think probably the most satisfying experience that I've had so far has actually had nothing to do with a cup of coffee. It's when I've seen my boys, our young men, stand in front of a group and professionally and powerfully explain the story of what's happened with Def Can Coffee. And when people in an audience, you see just a little bit of water get in their eyes and just a little bit of trickle down because they're so touched. Because our boys are developing the confidence that their natural gifting and talent is starting to bubble out to the surface, and people are seeing that. And there's nothing more satisfying than seeing somebody that really hears the message of Def Can and can believe it with all their heart. Some of my favorite things to do are to get out of Kingston and go to St. Elizabeth. Where my wife is from is an area called Top Hill, St. Elizabeth, and it's the most beautiful place on earth, in my opinion. And so we love to go out there, just hang out. Love to go down to Treasure Beach and swim and hang out, enjoy the country life. Being an entrepreneur is full of sacrifice. There are times where you sacrifice relationships, but you have to balance that, because if at the end of the day you have a successful business but fail in relationships, then the business has no merit at the end. So there's a balance there. You sacrifice a lot of time. You sacrifice financially. There are times where you have to contribute to help the business grow and to take care of something that is just kind of out of scope but needs to get done. You sacrifice with other things in life that you like to do, maybe hobbies that you had before. Sometimes you don't have as much. I think my dog suffers sometimes. I don't spend as much time with her as I'd like to. We have some exciting opportunities coming up. Nothing is set in stone yet, but we're very possibly going to be opening up a full-time cafe or a coffee shop inside of another cafe. It's not named yet. They haven't decided on their branding yet. It'll be on Hope Road, and it will be their own cafe where we would be the coffee service. So they would be doing food, bistro kind of stuff, and we would be providing the coffee service. So that's one opportunity. We've also had a couple other organizations that have reached out to us and said, hey, we'd be interested, in maybe you running a coffee shop inside of our business at some point down the road. But nothing is set in stone. So right now we're focused internally using our new training center that we have here, thanks to the Digicel Foundation and working with them. Also, JN Foundation has reached out to us. They have a social enterprise booster initiative called SEBI, which we're in the process of applying to become a part of it. And then they would really walk alongside of us and help us develop some of the internal mechanisms that we need to give us a foundation where the business can grow. Def Can Coffee encouraged a group of our students who are grades 9 and 11 to join Junior Achievement. It's boys and girls both together. And through that Junior Achievement program, they came up with a vanilla cold coffee energy drink that's in a bottle. And this is what it looks like. As we've grown, we've said, all right, we want to create a message about this. And so reach out to somebody that can help us. But then as much as possible, we bring that internally. So we create a message for the National Inclusive Education Conference that happened last November in Montego Bay. And we developed kind of a framework for the message, but then the students kind of decide what they want to portray through that poster. And that poster was all about comparing a negative view of deaf person that says deaf can't with a positive view of deaf person that says deaf can. And that was really powerful. We've used that one medium in a lot of different ways. As we go travel mobile, we'll put that poster up on the table and allow people to come by and read it, because just by the interaction they have with the baristas, they're not going to get the full depth of the story, but then the story's right there in print form where people can read it and understand what we're all about. But we've honestly in some ways tried to hold back on some marketing, because again, we're struggling with this balance of we're on the campus of a deaf school. We can't just have too many people coming in and ruining what we're trying to do with the kids, because that has to be the primary focus. But as we go mobile, as we go out into the public, we're working on developing different marketing tools. But our website is phenomenal, and it's developed by one of our deaf students. He's a graduate of our school. He's now studying computer science at Rochester Institute of Technology in New York, and he's a computer science major. So he developed our website for us, runs it from abroad. He's actually going to be coming back this summer to do an internship for us to develop some more online based tools. But we're all on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Everything is at Def Can Coffee. And so we're pretty streamlined as far as that. When people want to know how to contact us, it's Def Can Coffee. Just Google Def Can Coffee, and our email address is defcancoffee@gmail. Our website's defcancoffee.com, and then all our social media is there. So online has probably been our most successful mode of marketing as far as reaching out with our message to customers. And that was, probably a year ago when we realized this has viable potential business. That was one of our initial strategies, is go public, go to where the people are at instead of worrying about trying to attract people here. And then the second thing is partner with people. Any press is good press, and so we've had the opportunity to get several print media opportunities where they've written stories about us in the Gleaner and Observer. We've been on TVJ, we've been on several radio stations. We're now on Business Access TV, which we're really thankful and excited for this opportunity. If you're a young person or a person that has a desire to be an entrepreneur, you have an idea that you want to try, then I encourage you to go for it. But you have to understand a few things first. You have to be very committed to it, and you have to believe that what you want to do is going to make the world a better place. If you don't believe it makes the world a better place, at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to sell it to your customers and to whoever you want to reach. And you have to really believe in that. And if you don't believe in it, then you're going to run out of the energy, because there are times where you feel like, I want to give up. I don't want to do this. It's too hard. It's too impossible. And if you don't believe it makes the world a better place, then you're going to say it's not worth it. But if you look at some of the greatest businesses the world has ever known, it started with somebody that said, I believe my idea can make this world a better place. And when you start with that premise, if you believe that, then there should be nothing that stops you. And then my other encouragement is that as you go, don't try to do it alone. Reach out to people and partner with people that can help you. If you're selfish, if you try to keep it for yourself and say, no, I want to hang on to this, you're not going to allow your hands to open up to allow it to grow and to fly. And so you have to be willing to open up yourself to other people and say, hey, I want to work with you, and I want to see how we can work together. And then the third thing is that you have to get the right people around you. If you have somebody that is inside that is toxic, that's cancerous to your organization, no matter how talented they are, no matter how many gifts they have, if that person is not matching the team, if they're becoming more about themselves than the team, you have to be willing to stand up and say, hey, you know what? We can't have this part of our team. And so you have to be willing to sometimes do the tough work, and you have to be willing to say no. When opportunities come that aren't really suiting your business model or your vision, you have to be willing to say no. And as an entrepreneur, you'll have a hard time sometimes saying no, but you really have to be willing to stand firm and say no. And then the last thing I would say is have a business plan. And if you don't know what a business plan is and don't know how to write it, reach out, because there are lots of people that are willing to sit down and offer advice and help you work through some of those components that maybe you haven't thought of.
Today on Cameo, we take to the stage and look behind the curtains of Jamaica's theatre industry. We explore the importance of continued support to our local theatre spaces and get some insight on what it takes to start a business in the performing arts industry. The chaos of creativity meets the stricture of structure on Business Access TV's Cameo.
The Little Theatre movement and its keystone production, the National Pantomime, is Jamaica's longest-standing theatre company. Celebrating over 70 years, they have managed to withstand countless changes in the performing arts industry.
So what's the relationship between the pantomime and Little Theatre?
Well, originally the pantomime came first. It was the Fowlers who decided they wanted to have a little Christmas fun and do the pantomime, much like they used to do in England. So it started off with them putting on a play, this pantomime, and as it got more and more popular, they decided that it should become an institution. So they started raising funds to kind of make sure that they could do it each year. And so therefore, the pantomime kind of came first, and then the Little Theatre movement came out of that. And from the Little Theatre movement, you get the Little Theatre.
So what impact did the building of Little Theatre at that time in 1961 have on the industry?
Well, what it was is that even in the early days, you had the ward, you had a couple little theatres here and there, but it was always a difficulty in finding space that they could manage. And it was the Fowlers' dream to have a space of their own. So even though they were still committed to opening at the pantomime down at the ward each year, they wanted another space that persons could make access of.
What are some key features of Little Theatre?
Well, the Little Theatre is one of the few places that have what we term as a fly tower, which means that we're able to get the backdrops to go up into the ceiling, as opposed to most places where you either have to draw the curtain across, which is what they call a traverse. So like the front of a house can come down from the roof, and that means we have less clutter backstage because we can just literally fly it up into the ceiling. It's also one of the largest spaces. We have space backstage for persons to make use of. There's a green room area, there's a holding area. So like when the kids come in for like a school concert, there's a holding area where they can be kept until they come on stage.
What happens here on a daily basis?
There's like a high season and a low season. So like for instance, somewhere about September, that's what we term like our dance season. Almost all the dance groups come in. Come December, that's when we're in the rehearsal period for the pantomime, and then we open Boxing Day with the pantomime, and we run all the way until May.
So how does the National Pantomime continue to affect the operation of Little Theatre?
Well, it's an interesting thing. The Little Theatre Movement is a non-profit organization, so literally whatever we make one year goes into the next year. So we have two different structures. There's a management committee that looks about the overseeing of the theatre itself and the compound. And that committee has a kind of sub-management that deals with the pantomime and how that runs. And generally what will happen is the funds that come in from the pantomime will help to offset some of the costs of running the theatre. And then there are times when the rentals of the theatre will help to offset the cost of starting back up with the pantomime. So it's one hand washes the other, and that's how we're able to keep it going.
So how does Little Theatre Movement and the National Pantomime differ in terms of how they operate business-wise?
The theatre, the LTM, the managers and the theatre owners definitely have to make sure that bills must be paid, money must be brought in, and in order to keep it going. The LTM Pantomime can be a little bit more flexible in the sense that because we are a charitable, well, not really charitable, we're a non-profit, so we're like a society. So we don't necessarily have to say that, okay, well, for us to make back the money, the tickets would have to be $2,000, because we'll say, okay, but that don't make no sense. When them coming in from country, them can't pay $2,000 and bus fare. So we are able to subsidize some of what we do because of how we approach what our mandate to the public is.
So what changes have been made over the years to the business model?
We've had to kind of put in place more structures than before because things change. Whereas in the earlier days, it was more a kind of friendly family kind of arrangement. Things have changed. We have issues like copyright and such. So like persons who come in to rent the theatre, they have to get a particular kind of license. We have to make sure that we inform them of that. We have to draw up contracts to make sure they understand what happens during the rental of the space and how that works, their responsibilities, liability, that kind of thing.
To what would you attribute the success over the past years of the
Little Theatre and the LTM? Well, it's really because we're all theatre people at heart. I mean, some of us might not be on stage, but we do have the love of theatre, and because of that, we approach things with a sense of the purpose that we have. So even from the guy who is at the gate, he understands that this is an important part of our culture. So he will work overtime and make sure that everybody is okay. And because of that family orientation that we have, we're able to juggle things as necessary. So it means that we're willing to go the extra mile without feeling like we're exploiting ourselves, because we are committed to what we do.
How does pantomime remain relevant?
It's so hard because there are times you come in the theatre and all you can see is this, right? And the kids are looking down and you're wondering, are we reaching them? And that makes us worry sometimes when we're putting things together in rehearsal, you know, is that gonna get the crowd? Is that gonna get the people interested? But what we found is that for people it's a tradition, and the thing is to not waste the fact that it is tradition. Yes, they'll come on Boxing Day, but if they don't see a good show, they're gonna be upset. So we have to find ways of definitely keeping our finger on the pulse.
How do you remain competitive? I mean, you said earlier that members tend to do multiple jobs.
Right. Well, that's also part of it as well, because we have to remain price sensitive, because like I'm saying, there are groups that are coming in from Little London in Westmoreland, and they have to pay the busman and come in and enjoy themselves for the show. So we have to find a way to price it in such a way that the groups that come in for entertainment can do that, as well as the groups that come in for fundraising events, so that they can put their markup on it, so that they can raise their funds to improve their school hall and that kind of thing.
So what are the future plans for the Little Theatre Movement?
Okay, well that's an interesting thing. In our board meetings, it's always the thing that makes us laugh when Mrs. G, Barbara Gludon, will say to us, so, yeah, but that's this year, what will happen later on, what we're going to do? And she's the one that pushes us to try and see what we can do. So we have a couple things coming online. One of the things is just upgrading the plant itself, so we need to make it more efficient so that we can keep our costs down. So we're also looking at improving the seating, improving the lighting, because we have older lighting equipment and now everybody wants LED. They're cooler, easier to run, take up less space. And that's one of the things that we have to do. We have to make ourselves more efficient and find ways of just being able to continue to bring the kind of quality productions that we're known for, and make sure we can do it at the price that persons can come in and enjoy a night at the theatre.
Coming up next, Conroy Wilson of Ashe.
There's only one recommendation for funding that is ever going to come from me, and that is funding from a bank.
This is the cost to build, and it includes every nail and screw for the building.
Our motto is building communities, building a nation.
Get in the know with the world of real estate with Business Access TV's Home Sweet Home, Sundays at 4:30 p.m.
The Good Life, your trusted source for useful health and wellness information, lifestyle tips for the mind, body, and soul. Tune in Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on Business Access TV. Ashe is widely known for many of their successes on stage. Off stage and behind the scenes, they approach the performing arts industry from different perspectives and understand how to leverage their unique advantage.
Ashe started out doing a lot of original stuff. Back in Little People, we were doing musicals from Broadway. We were redoing musicals from Broadway. When we started Ashe, we started doing original stuff. It's the genesis of one of the productions that probably made Ashe very popular, which is called Vibes in a World of Sexuality. And so we were using the performing arts, which we were good at, to educate on social issues, to teach other young people about sex, about communication with parents, about the HIV and other STIs that were there. And so we started doing that, and that was successful. Got support from the ministries of education and health and from USAID, and so we took it all around Jamaica, and thereby birthed the fame of Ashe going into the schools and stuff.
Yes, it was written up in the book of life that a man shall endure forevermore.
Your company has different divisions. Tell me about that.
Ashe has the ensemble, which is the performing arm of the company. Those are the professionally trained singers, actors, dancers. And then we have a school for training, which is the academy. And that's where people who want to join Ashe, they come in and they join the academy. They get training in all the art forms and in edutainment and musical theater. And then Ashe has what we call the Edutainment Institute. Under the Edutainment Institute, Ashe has developed a niche in that area where we use the performing arts to educate on social issues. And so under that umbrella, we create edutainment products, we create edutainment performances, we create workshops, interventions, and we use those in our transformational work. Ashe has a core group of members who are performers at core, but they're also trained what we call edutainment intervention specialists. So we do a lot of projects using the performing arts in our edutainment realm to support various ministries, especially the Ministry of Health, in reaching some populations and young people that they can't reach or they don't have the kind of capacity to reach. Ashe's role is key because Ashe is one of the few organizations that provide some kind of employment for young artists who sing, act, and dance in that kind of way, and Ashe combines all the art forms. So based on what we do, we also engage musicians, we engage people who learn technical theater in terms of lights and sound. And so the creative industry, the whole gamut of the creative industry has to be included because Ashe has a training arm, Ashe has a performance arm, Ashe has a theater, Ashe uses the performing arts to educate on social issues, so you get a little bit into education, a little bit into health. So you can find that this kind of wholesome approach benefits the creative industry in a huge way because it gives an avenue for people for young people to do something that comes natural for them and that they can develop in and make a living and contribute to our society.
Hold him, Joe, and let him go. Hold him, Joe, and let him go. The donkey won't watch out. Hold him, Joe.
A couple of years ago when we had the recession happening and people were pulling back in terms of what they were spending, we decided to look at what was our strategic advantage, our competitive edge, and we decided that edutainment was our niche. And so we started to focus more on our edutainment and our entertainment because, when we looked around and see if people are going to cut back from a function, the first thing that they look at cutting is the entertainment because the function can go on without that. And so out of focusing on our niche, which was edutainment, which would make ASHE stand out in the market against all the others, we were able to try and source partnerships for organizations that were looking to try and reach various communities that they weren't reaching, and the Performing Arts provides a means to do that. And so because our members were already trained intervention specialists and could use the Performing Arts to teach on social issues, we solicited contracts to be able to provide that support for communities, and that is what kept us going during those lean years, and that has also continued to keep us going.
Following in the footsteps of the Little Theatre movement and securing their own home, ASHE has begun a rebranding process to stay relevant in the market.
3 years ago, we had a strategic plan which was to own our own space. That was one of our strategic plans. And so through our partnerships with local and international donors, we were able to leverage providing the service that we provide in the performing arts, using the performing arts to reach various communities to be able to attract some kind of support. How do we now put ourselves back out there, given that we now have a firm, steady location? And so we have started to do that with the production called Deadlift. We've always said from day one that ASHE wants to be a household name. Yeah? So if you're talking about where we're headed, a household name, and I'm not talking a household name in Jamaica. I'm talking a household name regionally. I'm talking a household name internationally. The intention and one of the places we want to go is to be able to set up our center as a multicultural facility. So we have our performance studios, we have our theater, we have our cafe, we're setting up our recording studios so that any young person, anybody in the creative industry can find something here that appeals to them. We're also looking to set up our Edutainment Institute, and that is where people who are now interested in the performing arts but also want to use it for social good and want to be able to learn and practice and teach and share and create products can also come to that institute and benefit from it and share in it. In addition to all of that, we are interested in segmenting the three arms of ASHE. So our performing arm or ensemble arm will be on tour, doing what they have to do, while ASHE in Jamaica will still have to go on and do what it has to do because of our demand. And then to set up a school for the performing arts where we use the performing arts to teach even some of the traditional subjects. So those people in schools who are not inclined to just learn maths by the writing on the board, they can come and learn maths through singing and dancing and acting and be able to still sit their CSEC subjects and be successful at it because you're using another approach to teach them. So that's where ASHE is headed in terms of looking at the whole accreditation and looking at the gamut of the performing arts and theatre arts and seeing how we can capitalize on that.
ASHE's ability to adapt and strategize has poised them for many future successes. They offer this advice for hopeful performance entrepreneurs.
The key to succeeding as an entrepreneur in this industry, I would believe, is one is to know what your craft is to know and to learn your craft, because a lot of people tend to think that the performing arts is something you just get up and do, you know, and so a lot of people can get up and say they're a dancer, they're a singer, they're an actor. But at the end of the day, you have to develop your craft and get real training in it so that you know your area and your avenue. Now, after you've done that, you have to see where can that craft be best utilized? How can it be best utilized as a solo act, as a part of a group, in terms of teaching, in terms of creating various products, because the creative industry is not just limited to people who are on the stage. It's a whole gamut of things that come together to make the industry what it is. There are people behind the cameras, that's also a part of the creative industry. There are people who write, that's also a part of the creative industry. There are people who arrange the music, there are people who make the music, there are people who play the music. And so you need to find where is your passion, where is your area of giftedness, where it is that you function best, and then see what opportunities can you network and partner with, because all the corporate companies and entities, they tap into the creative industries in various ways. All of their marketing campaigns require somebody who's going to sing some song, require somebody who's going to bring some kind of creativity to their entire organization. And so you have to find ways that match your creative skills with what is being required in a corporate setting.
Up next, Dahlia Harris, DMH Production.
We are back with another exciting, innovative, and inspiring season.
It takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness, being consistent and persistent in whatever you're doing. That's the bottom line.
Business exists to add value to people's lives. And if we're not doing that, might as well we lock down the store and just call it a day.
It's a season 3 of Creating Wealth, Mondays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
They say it takes a village to raise a child, but the world will one day need the leadership of that child. The time you spend with your child matters. It stimulates their minds and shapes the way they act. Talk with your children. Help them to better understand the world around them and to value what is truly precious. Above all, the most valuable gift you can give them is love. Play, talk, teach, love. Take the time. It makes all the difference. A message from the Parenting Helpline and Ad Council Jamaica.
Dahlia Harris is a well-known face on stage and on screen. Behind the curtains, she has combined her love for performance with an entrepreneurial spirit. She speaks with us about the early stages of setting up her business.
DMH Productions is my initials, Dahlia Marie Harris, because I think it's an extension of me. I try to have the company do as many diverse things as possible, which is what I mean by an extension of me, because I want to be able to write plays, act in plays. I want to do different types of plays. I want the company to be able to offer opportunities for young talent to become exposed. That's a critical part of our mission. And I also do television production. Maybe any entrepreneur that's starting up a new company has had the same challenges in terms of a name search. That wasn't the initial name that I wanted for the company. I wanted Theatre Jamaica. But when we did a search that was already being used by somebody else, it was being able to access the things that I didn't know. There was no one place that I could go to that could guide me in setting up the company. That was my biggest hurdle. And so, as I said, I had to get somebody, I had to pay a lawyer to walk me through the process. It's difficult not having a physical space that you call an office. I operate from home. So a lot of times when people ask, so where are you based? What do you do? And you're not able to say, I have an office, or they don't take you seriously. But I'll tell them that in the 21st century, everything now is virtual and people work, their offices are online. So I think it's us catching up in Jamaica to the rest of the way the world does business and sees business. That's been a challenge. Some of the business lessons that I would have learned is you have to have a solid business plan. It is not enough to just have an idea or even a great idea and say, I'm going to start a business. There has to be some kind of strategy that will tell you how are you going to maintain this brand and how am I going to profit from this brand. And that's one of the lessons that I learned, that because I like theater and I like to perform, just saying I'm going to start a business was not enough. So that was one of the critical things. I think one of the second lessons that I would have taken from it is to try to get as much advice as possible from people who are not in the creative sector, but people that are in other types of business, because the best practices work for everything, and find out from them what are some of the approaches that they've made. Have a great relationship with your financial institution, because sometimes they're able to guide you on what decisions are poor, what decisions are the best decisions to make. Sometimes they will spot things that you may not be able to pick up in the way you're spending or earning money. So for me, those are some of the critical things. My vision, and this is what I've been trying to get them to do, is to form kind of a cooperative, because it's a small business model. I can put on plays for a week or 2 weeks. I will acquire props, I'll acquire costumes that I may never use again for a year. Somebody else may need to use them. And so if we come together as small businesses in theatre and try to share our products and our services, it'll be much easier for us to put on more productions over time. So that's the first thing. The second thing is there has to be more support in terms of investment. I think when we talk about the business of theatre and even the creative arts, people think because we're creative people, we're passionate about it, but we really don't understand. We totally understand the profitability of theatre. Broadway has made significant impact on the income and the economy of New York. The West End has done exactly the same in London, and I could go right across Europe. It's a model that works. I'm not sure why we are yet to understand that in Jamaica, particularly where tourism is such a main thing for us, that if we invest in and develop a strong theatre industry, it's a no-brainer that it will bring money into this economy.
Them see me already. All right, come to this. Miss Joanna, Lou, I don't want to hear it. I leave too many times. And the last time they tell me, say, I'm come back, them not going to help me. I'm tell you somebody just care. So chat, Miss Joanna. So chat, Miss Joanna. If I want them to, them now going to make you go back.
Theatre in Jamaica is not profitable at the moment because we don't have the kind of support like the Broadway and the West End models. For example, the Broadway and West End models have huge development programs and funding programs that come through their respective governments because they understand what they bring to the economy. And part of that is about ensuring that there are proper spaces, ensuring that they facilitate movements of people to New York and to London. And that's the kind of investment that we need. It's ensuring that in the marketing of the brand, that's tied into Brand Jamaica. And so there are a number of things that we would have to be met, not even quarter of the way, in order for us to be as profitable as those. But it is possible. It works on paper, and practically it will work. Centralization of the service works, and it works in the creative industries overall. But again, the Broadway model and the London model, they're centralized. You can run from one theatre house to the next, but not just in terms of the location physically, but the way they market the place. If you go online, you can find what's happening on the West End for whatever play at whatever time, and you can book a ticket. So the theatre brand is what is being pushed and not individual shows. And that's what we need to get to in Jamaica. What is the theatre brand in Jamaica? So people will just want to go to a play, first of all, and then make a decision on what play is it that I want to see. And if they're centralized in terms of locations, then if I'm walking into this theatre tonight, then I'll see the marquee of another one and say, oh, that's showing over there. Or I can buy 2 tickets and go to one early and one late. So it goes back to, as I've been saying, venues, critical to how the business will profit.
That's it for Cameo this week. We featured Anya Gludon, Conroy Wilson, and Delia Harris. Until next time.
I do have a dream, and I know you have a dream.
that we can make Jamaica the place of choice for you to choose to live, to work, to do business.
We are going for the Jamaica we want. Making steady progress to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals in our National Development Plan, Vision 2030 Jamaica. We have teamed up with valued partners, working through strong institutions to reduce inequalities in our society. We commit to being responsible in our production and consumption, ensuring we build sustainable communities in harmony with nature. Jamaica is making significant strides in providing quality, lifelong education for all, enabling our people to be engaged in decent work to drive economic growth, equipping men and women with the skills to build resilient infrastructure, promote sustainable industry, foster innovation, and utilize new technologies. Urgent action is being taken to manage natural resources responsibly, protecting clean water sources, ensuring access to water and sanitation for all, diversifying to alternative energy sources, conserving our environment and sustaining life below water and on land. Jamaica is making moves to ensure healthy lifestyles for the well-being of our people. We're promoting sustainable agriculture to achieve food security, improve nutrition, and end extreme hunger, putting in the work to end poverty in all its